Have you got a little something for us, Ray? Have you got a little something for us?
Spit, son, please.
What I'm saying is odd, so if you can hear, listen, it's a uranium rod. I'm going nuclear fission, ripping your cranium off for the stew in my kitchen, mixing your brain in my broth, and I'm leaving you in a stupid condition, doing it fluently, ruining you and your crew. It's the new and improved plan beyond the proof of truth. I'm handy on the mic with ambience, lyrical champion. See intercontinental ambience, I call an ambulance for the fella that grew up to dwell in a sewer, telling that you will smell a manure. I'm selling a cure, spelling a pure lyric. I'm turning in hell on the skewer. Hot spit, the practice developing for us to drop shit. Fat like an elephant poo is just toxic. In fact, I got my skeleton through up. I'm not sick, spitting illness that's not contagious. What I jot on pages should be locked in cages. See you later.
Oh,
good morning.
Boo your tribe. Welcome to another episode of Crate 808, the podcast time capsule that takes you way back to the 1990s, where we dig in the crates for some classic records from the golden age of hip-hop and get all misty-eyed and shit about the good old days. This week we have another Crate 808 debate to see which album we can inaugurate into our Twisted Hall of Fame. So bringing the arguments and general bants this week, we have our resident Rap Brexiteer joining us from Western Australia, Ray Ridge, a new green around the ears guest, Pras Geng. How are we doing, guys? How are you doing, Pras?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Not too nervous about the Crate 808 debate, your first one?
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good. Ray, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, pretty good. Obviously, I'm going to smash it out of the park again. Before we started, I've already won. When people hear what albums we're doing, they're going to be like, oh, well, we already know what's going to happen. So that's...
I love how Ray brings it, and then his argument will fall flat within the first minute, I presume. Usually that's what happens.
We
shall see. So up today, we have 3 huge records. Each signifies a key moment in hip-hop history, and that's not overstating anything. So get ready for some sparks to fly. Ray will be bringing Biggie Smalls' debut album from 1994, Ready to Die. Pras is vouching for the Fugees' second album, The Score, from 1996. And I shall be bringing Dr. Dre's seminal debut record to the table, 1992's The Chronic. Before we get into the debate, guys, I just need to ask, what is the least hip-hop thing you did in the last 24 hours? Raymond Ridge, step up to the plate.
Yeah, yesterday I went to a cheese tasting, which was,
right.
pretty non-hip-hop, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I had loads of Stilton and Brie and some like really strong-smelling cheeses. I love that kind of strong-smelling cheese. I mean, I guess you could say I live for the funk.
Fuck off, Ray. I'm not having it. I could tell it was a setup. It was a little bit coming from Ray. Ray does stand-up comedy, by the way, on the side. And you can just tell he's written this, right? He's coming in. What's he got?
That wasn't off the top of his dome.
That wasn't off the top of his dome. It really wasn't. I'll give you this. Was it really?
Was it? Wow.
Oh, that was great then. That was absolutely brilliant.
I'll take it back.
But right, that's good though. Cheese tasting, quite non-hip hop. I can see that. I can't see RZA. You know who I can see cheese tasting? Guru back in the day. I bet he was a cheese taster, Guru. I bet he loved a brie. Prazzy, what was the least hip hop thing you did?
I do non-hip-hop things every day of my life. So I thought yesterday was the most non-hip-hop thing I did in the last 24 hours, which was contemplating whether to put a spreadsheet together for my research for this podcast. But then I trumped myself this morning when I had half an avocado and I wrapped up the other half in cling film, including the seed, and put it in the fridge so it stays fresh for my wife when she has it later.
Oh, that's lovely. That's quite player. I like that.
Was it?
Yeah, that is quite player.
I don't agree with the use of cling film because it doesn't biodegrade. So you should just let your avocados rot. I think there'll be more environment.
So in a way, it was quite hip hop that you used cling film.
Yeah.
Oh, in
Don't
your
give
face.
A fuck.
So my one, I watched this because I've got a little boy and he loves this film called Turbo, which I'm not sure if you've seen, but it's about a snail that's really quick. I was watching this with my lad and thought this is probably going to be the least hip hop thing I've done today. And then Snoop Dogg turns up as a voice for the snail. I'm like, well, hold on. Even when I'm watching Turbo, like an animated film, Snoop's in there. It started making me think of like really good film cameos, like hip hop film cameos. And I was just thinking, I don't know if you've watched Harold and Kamal's Christmas film, but RZA.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
RZA selling Christmas trees is brilliant.
He was also in Funny People with Adam Sandler. He was in the deli counter.
He was. That's very good. Ray, got any good hip-hop film cameos?
Yeah, RZA was also in that one with Russell Crowe where they do the police thing and he finds loads of money and hands it in. What was that called again? I can't remember now.
American Gangster.
That's right, with
Is it?
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
So RZA's ruling the hip-hop
Is that American Gangster? Yeah, it is American Gangster, isn't it?
Yeah. But no, before we do move on, I was going to say one of the most hip-hop things I did actually do. I work in sports news, so I was working on some Man United news, and they have a youngster in their team, and no word of a lie, his name is DJ Raekwon Buffon. I thought that's got to be the most hip-hop name I'm ever going to hear in sport. And we all had a little giggle about this at work. And it led on to this conversation I was having about rappers and their first names and using them at home. Like Beyonce, when she's at home, does she call Jay-Z Jay-Z or Jay or Jigger, or does she actually just call him Sean? And I started looking this all up, and there's some really good first names.
Well, I think, let's say they're getting ready for an award party. Mm-hmm. Beyonce gets ready before Jay-Z, and then she sort of knocks on his door and say, "You ready, Jay?"
I don't know why that would be the case. I don't get the reference. I'm not getting
That's what she says in Crazy in Love.
Oh, is it?
You ready, Jay?
That was a really niche reference.
You ready, B?
I love how niche that reference was, but I loved it. Okay, cool. And just on that then, the best hip-hop first names I heard, Ghostface's name is Dennis. You can't imagine calling him Dennis, can you? Anyway, right. So, moving on. Before we get into the debate as well, Pras, as you're new to the podcast, we give people like Wu-Tang nicknames from the Wu name generator that Childish Gambino got his name from.
Yeah.
So there's two name generators. One is the one that Childish got his from, and then there's like an official one now. So the one that Childish got his name from, Pras, you are now known as Excessive Warlock. But I was thinking, aren't warlocks by their very nature quite excessive? Like, they're not exactly underlying, are they? They're like, out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like round circle. All right.
Yeah, cheers for that. Thanks. But then I did the official one, and then you became Samurai Insensitive. which one is you in a way at times? But then I was thinking, like, samurais, again, by their very nature, are quite insensitive on the outside, maybe soft on the inside.
I think they're soft on the inside. I think that's pretty true of me.
Yeah. Basically, we've got Shogun Assassin in the pod this week. So, right, so less of that and more of this.
Let's move on.
Let's go on to the debate. Boom. 1, 2, 3 into the 4. It's December the 15th, 1992, and Dr. Dre is at your door. Andre Young is fresh from following Ice Cube out the doors of NWA and is partnered with a certain Mr. Suge Knight in launching a new record label, Death Row Records, in Los Angeles. Questions surrounding his future were quickly answered after the doctor made you peep out his manuscript and see that it's a must that he drop some gangster shit. The Chronic broke the whole rap game wide open, becoming the first hardcore hip-hop album to truly break radio and dominate the 1993 airwaves globally, influencing classic records from Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang Clan and Gang Starr in the coming years. Dre laid down a brand new soundscape, most definitely bringing the funk and introducing the world to a new pop star in the Maniac in Black Mr. Snoop Eastwood, aka Snoop Doggy Dogg, transforming the riotous city of LA into a major player in hip-hop whilst doing so. The West Coast had been known as the birthplace of the Beach Boys, the Doors, the Eagles and California Dreamin' from the Mamas and Papas, but now it had a brand new identity portrayed by bangers like Nothing But a G Thing and Let Me Ride. The Chronic solidified Dre as a genius producer and paved the way for pop music to become a whole lot more gangster in the 1990s. So, boys, before I launch into this argument I'm going to bring here for you, right? First of all, there's going to be a 187 up in here. I'm going to tell you right now, right? This is not on my watch are you going to take this album down. It's one of my personal favourites. So, I was listening to a lot of Dre and I started listening to Keep Their Heads Ringing and it came on in the office. And his line on there, worth more than a stealth bomber. I was like, oh shit, he probably is worth more than a stealth bomber now. So I naturally, to basically not do any work, I started looking into the worth of a stealth bomber.
Can I take a guess?
You can absolutely take a guess. Go on.
$600 million?
$600 million, that's a good shout. What do you reckon, Ray?
Well, a stealth bomber, if you're talking like an 80s one, they're probably not worth much now. Probably get one for about 30 grand. Something like that.
Turns out stealth bombers, keys in hand, cost £737 million.
It's a lot of money.
And Dre is worth more.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did become worth more than a stealth bomber. Not only is Dre braggadocious, he clearly is not a liar as well. That's point one of the argument. No, digging in. So why I think the Chronic should be in Crate 808 more than Biggie and more than the Fugees is this is where Dre shows not only is he the most lethal sampler in the game, but he created a whole genre. Now, the production, the rhyming, the laid-back style, the iconography of West Coast hip-hop and the classic tracks not make it just one of the best albums in music, but in hip-hop generally. It sounds clean, like it just absolutely sounds clean, like a Michael Jackson record. It's like polished and timeless. And Dre just took hip-hop as a culture from the street and took it globally. Whereas, like, I feel like Biggie, he used the Chronic as a launching pad, and Ready to Die is a classic. I give you that because I love Ready to Die. But I feel like, does it resonate in music as a whole genre? I can't be sure it does that. But what I can be sure of is that Dre changing the game this much does resonate in all of music, from rock to electronic to folk, whatever you're talking about, R&B, soul. The Chronic is the one that broke the game. As an example, what I'm trying to say is, when this came out, 1992, all alternative rap was seen as underground. So Chronic comes out, right? Bang. You've got Tribe Called Quest out there. You've got De La Soul. You've got Public Enemy. You've got KRS-One. You've got all these legends of the game selling units, shipping units, selling out tours. And when Death Row came out with the Chronic, it made all of them a footnote. It became like, this is the time of the gangster. Like, hip-hop for 5-6 years was changed, and it was all about the gangster G-Funk. Listen to Chris Cross. So, you've just nicked the G-Funk. You've just nicked G-Funk and started making it your own. And that's how much this implemented the game and changed it. So no longer was there like the hecticness of Bomb Squad production. It was all about smooth, laid-back grooves of G-Funk. And Biggie's and Fugees, for as much as they did change the game, they never created a whole subsection you'd find in HMV. Let's be honest, they did what they did. I would say Biggie changed it lyrically, definitely. It was a watershed moment lyrically. You had Rakim, who completely changed the game, and then you had Biggie, who changed the game. But when you talk about sonically with the lyrics, you can bring Snoop into that argument if you wanted to, because he did change the game as well. And one of my other arguments is this was a legitimate way to go pop, as opposed to people like MC Hammer or Vanilla Ice, who was selling records then. You can take that in a good way or bad way if you think that it shouldn't have gone pop. But I feel like the Chronic, because it did all these things, it's on the Rap Rushmore for West Coast hip-hop. So if you only had like 4 West Coast hip-hop albums or figures or icons, he'd be up there. He'd be the centre figure. Whereas the East Coast, would Ready to Die or The Score get on that Rap Rushmore for that coast? Like, you've got Illmatic, you've got 36 Chambers, Low End Theory, Reasonable Doubt, Fear of a Black Planet. You could argue they do.
Yeah, Ready to Die is definitely with them as well. I mean, I don't want to interrupt your argument, but it's big. Come on.
No,
come
right.
on.
No.
Come on.
Behave. To be fair, putting it out there, disclaimer, I love all these 3 albums. I do. But if I'm making an argument for why Dre should get in the Crate 808 before them, this is my argument. They don't change the game like Dre changes the game. And I would say that the Chronic, not only does it do it in the side that you've sonically changed everything into that laid back in, the sampling's amazing, it also commentates on moments in history. So the LA riots, for example, you could say the Predator that we had on this podcast before, Ray, you remember arguing against the Predator when James Midwinter brought that on. That's more of a commentary on LA and the riots that happened there. But I would say the Chronic does it as well, because not only do you have stuff like Little Ghetto Boy and The Day That Ends Took Over, but you also have like the party afterwards. So it's like a party with the underlying gangster in it. So like if you look at like Nothing But a G Thing video, right? If you go into that video, so all these riots have happened and stuff like that, but they're still out there. Daz comes down the stairs like, yo, you're going to the picnic today? Which is like, you feel like a picnic is going to be like, oh yeah, that'd be nice. So put out the thing. Then you go and there's a guy.
Not in Compton.
No, not in Compton. There's a guy with a strapped, like, flipping the meat on the barbecue. Oh, he's got a gun in his back holster.
Why do you need a gap, dog?
It's just underlying gangster, dog. That's what it is. That's what they're bringing, like, just in case shit pops off. So I would say it says everything, the fact that it is speaking for a point that's bigger than itself, but it's also kind of showing you that life goes on. Like, these riots might be in the news for a bit, but bang, once that news channel's gone, they're still there chilling with your mate, smoking weed, pumping iron in the front garden, catching joke, basically. So I think this album nails that rather than concentrates on it and becomes like kind of constricted by the time it was made. This is timeless. So, just a few more points on my argument. It features one of the best posse cuts of all time. Stranded on Death Row is in my top 10, with probably best guest feature verse. Okay, maybe not best. I'm gonna bring this back. But top 10, Snoop, Nothing But a G Thing, is one of the best features of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's iconic. I started the whole introduction to that. What I'm saying
and
is,
everyone knows that as well. That's inarguable,
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So, I don't know, boys, what are you thinking? If you're coming at me, come at me. Like, I've got more in the cannon, but I just want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah. How do you feel about Dre not writing his own lyrics?
I know that is an argument. What are you saying to it? Because I'll bring you back after, but what are you saying to it?
Well, I think, there are positives and negatives. The positive being that he's a good producer and he knows what to put on a record to get the most out of it. So even if it means using someone else's lyrics, I'm actually doing the argument for you here. So he knows what to do. The negatives are, in a culture that's so entrenched and focused on realness and authenticity, for someone to not spit his own lyrics, his own words, that's for me a big deal. Album aside, it is.
So you're talking like this resonates from day one with the Sugar Hill Gang, him nicking that verse from Casanova or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it resonates from there to Drake now. Like people are talking about Drake's ghostwriters. Is it a big deal or not? In today's world, I feel it's not. So I think when you talk about agedness of the Chronic, I feel like it's not aged that badly at all because people ghostwrite all the time now.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ray. What do you think?
I don't think you should use the fact that people do it all the time as a justification for it. That's awful. I hope we not talk. But did someone mention Drake? Why Drake shouldn't be? Let's not talk about Drake at all. Let's just not. Let's not mention that name at all. Yeah, I agree with Pras in the sense that it's weird. I'm conflicted because, on one hand, I fucking love The Chronic. It's a ridiculous album. Listening to it again, it just takes you back, and so many tracks in there that just unbelievable. But yeah, you can't escape from the fact that I don't even know who did the ghostwriting. Was it a different person?
So the ghostwriting on this was DOC.
DOC did most of it,
and Daz as well, right?
DOC, Snoop, Daz did a little bit, but he did a lot more of the beats.
The thing is, so I guess if you are going to be committed to someone ghostwriting, writing your rhymes for you, those are still his close mates that he grew up with.
Exactly.
If what I saw on the movie is true, they did all live together and grow up together. And if it's not like he's paying the best person that he's found online to do it, he's literally got a mate who knows him. So if you're going to have a ghostwriter, fine, do that.
That's my point.
It's thing. I'm again conflicted because obviously. Was it Jay-Z wrote Still Dre, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And, Sean Carter, did that.
But Still Dre, there's no part of me that's like, I'm not going to listen to that. Of course, it's a fucking ridiculous track.
That's exactly my argument, Ray. That's my argument exactly, right? Like, you can say that. I get that. And you can also stretch that out if we're going full on board there about him, like, not doing everything. Daz did a lot of the beats on this album. So there are all people all collaborating for this, and it makes it a collaborative project. So my argument here is, right, Dre is the first superstar producer in hip-hop. He's the first one that gives a record label an identity. So before this, you had Def Jam. They had an identity, but it wasn't cohesive. What he did is, this is our stable of artists, and this is the music we're bringing, and this is the style we're bringing, and then we're going to make it a collaboration. So he's putting his mates on, and I'm not sure if the paperwork was right, but he did put them on. So DOC's writing shit on there, Snoop's writing shit on there. DOC can't feature because he had his vocal cords were crushed in a car accident, which is kind of shit. Because if you listen to his actual first album, some fucking bangers on there. You think he could have been amazing. So it's kind of shit that you're a genius. Well, not genius, that you're amazing at writing lyrics and you can spit, but you can't actually do it. So he must have been ultimately very frustrated about that. But Dre, even DJ Premier sat in on these sessions. I read it. He was like, I was sitting in on these sessions, the Chronic sessions, and he learned stuff. And he was like, the thing is with this, he's a producer that's basically, there's a difference here. They're related, but there's a big difference between composition and production. So I think a lot of people who see executive producers on the back of records feel like, they've done everything then. Well, no. What they've done is, that's a great hi-hat, that's a great bass, that's a great snare, but what it'll sound really good with is this, and it'll sound really good with this. And he makes it a piece of work where you're like, holy shit, no one else could have put that together. And not only that, he did make some of the beats and the rhymes, he's still spitting them. So the way he spits, he's still bringing his flavour to it. And I would say, like, if you just want
Yeah, it's his delivery, yeah.
Exactly. And if you want any example for, like, why he nails it about this is what sounds good, fuck what you want to do, is even on Stranded on Death Row, right? Snoop comes in, again, one of the best posse cuts. When he starts singing, I'm not singing, let it, is a D-O-double-G, that whole bit that he brings in, he was going to just rhyme that. He was just going to rhyme that. And Dre was like, nah, fuck that, sing that. And he was like, what? And it's an old Crip song. That's an old rhyme that Crips actually sing. And Dre was like, nah, you're going to sing that bit. And Snoop was like, that ain't going to work. And again, another instance of singing on a rap song in 1992, where I was like, holy shit, Snoop did that. Like, Snoop's whole inflection and the way his country drawl is like, shit, Snoop is bringing this shit.
Well, I've got a question. Clearly, Dre has this really compulsive personality, obsessive personality over production. Do you think he's now suffering for it because his latest project is taking over a decade to...
It's a good question. It's a great question. I dug into...
victim of his own personality.
Because he is such a perfectionist,
yeah.
And you hear all these stories about him saying, do it again. Do it again, do it again. And again, the Dave Fincher of hip-hop, he wants 100 takes of one thing to get it right. And even M on the Defiant ones is like, this shit is great, and he's not releasing it. So this is Detox I'm talking about here. He brought Compton out. I thought Compton was good. He produced Anderson .Paak's latest album, Oxnard, which it's very synth-heavy, so I'm not sure. But again, things change with time, man. And he nailed it with Chronic 2001.
Yep.
So what I would say is that if you're talking about like perfectionism and is it actually detrimental to you, when I start looking at Detox and I start digging in the crates and there's all these unreleased bits from Aftermath. So Aftermath, like the graveyard for 90s rappers, first of all. So you've got like Rakim went on there, died. Busta Rhymes went on there, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Right. Eve went on there, who? Don't remember her. She was a pop star, man. She's gone. Like there's a host of these people who go on there, and clearly because he's a perfectionist, he's fucking up people's careers. So I get that he is doing that, and he's got this ton of music where you hear like he's got thousands of tracks ready to go. So I'm listening to like these Detox things, and he's dropping stuff on Dr. Pepper commercials. I don't know if you've seen this, but he drops like a Detox beat on a Dr. Pepper, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're just wasting that beat.
Well, people in the medical profession always look after each other.
Doc on doc. Good work, yeah. But like you hear the Under Pressure single with Jay-Z. I don't know if you've heard that, but that got leaked. Jay, that's sick. That is sick. And there's like stuff where he's with Kendrick and like I think even on Kendrick's album and stuff like that, he's like, look out for Detox, and Detox is coming. So I understand that it's like he just scrapped it at the end.
I don't know when, but it's coming.
It's definitely coming, guys. Keep waiting. It's going to be here soon. But yeah, so I just want to say, I don't think it's good for him, but we got two amazing albums out of it and his production on Doggy Style. So I understand your point. I would say that when it comes to this argument, I don't think it matters too much. Any more for anyone?
So yeah, the thing with the Chronic, this is a common thing that we all talk about is top fives. So everyone has their top. I just said top five, and both of your top fives just jumped into your head right now. So you know everyone knows their top five.
True.
Two of them are obviously Rakim and Eminem. Both of you have Rakim and Eminem in your top five, I'm sure. And if you didn't, I'd just be we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'll be leaving because you'd be wrong.
Get ready to leave, mate.
But I don't think we've ever spoken about top five like hip hop tunes of all time. And if I was to say top five hip hop tunes, Let Me Ride would be on that.
All day.
It's just fucking ridiculous.
All day.
It's such a good tune.
Mate, all day long.
It's just in all of it. That just his delivery. I don't know who wrote it. Frankly, I don't care. The beat. It's so of the time, and it's so funky. It's so just even that bit in the video when we like some chick just gets in his car and he just looks at the camera, just another day. Come to motherfucker.
It's just another day, mate. I want you to carry on this on Let Me Ride, mate. But on Let Me Ride myself, right? I've got to say again, one of my top five tracks of all time, easily. It's one of the first tracks I ever got down. This and Warning from Biggie are two of the first tracks I ever nailed all the lyrics to. And I was like, shit, I know this. So when I got my like first car, I remember when I used to have to get my stroll on, and I was like, shit, I do remember when I had to get my stroll on. Now I'm on my Peugeot 206 going to my mate's house. Do you know what I mean? Like all these things, yeah, shit, it resonates with you.
With my son's stroller in the back.
And now I've got my son's stroller in the back. Now he's getting his stroll on. Then I'll put Let Me Ride when he first. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them things. And you talk about the video, right? The video is fucking amazing. It's so of its time, but it's so like ignorant. It's so ignorant on so many things.
It's so disrespectful. It's unbelievable.
But it's unashamedly ignorant.
Oh, unashamedly, yeah. One of my favourite moments in it is when you don't expect it, but the girls walk into the bathroom and a troop of girls walk out, and Ice Cube's just picking his fro, and he's like, now that was a good day. And you're like, shit, even Cube, after all the NWA shit.
I've got a lyric.
My favourite bit was the bit at the start when he's like, he's sitting there, he's watching TV. He's literally looking at a phone. The phone is in front of him. And he shouts to a girl in the other room, hey, fix me something to eat and answer the phone or whatever. Like, he's shouting to someone else to answer the phone. And then she answers it and she's like, oh, what a surprise. It's for you, Dre. He's like, oh, okay, I'll just pick this one up. Oh, brilliant.
Mate, it's so
the
true.
phone was in front of you the whole time.
I know, but it's that ignorance. It like you just not like the whole idea of like. Let's go on to Age the Worst here for a second, because Age the Worst, I have to say, the fucking incessant, right? It's incessant, rampant misogyny and sexism on this record. Like it just is, and you think like it actually now, as an almost 40-year-old man, it's unlistenable at times. It really is. Like I love These Nuts, but I'm not a young person anymore. Like this is directed towards that young suburban, almost white jock who'd be like, "Yeah, D's nuts," and you're like, that's funny to us now. That's funny to us now. But really, what are you saying? Like, what are you actually saying? And all of this Age the Worstness for me. I know we can talk about this for a lot of hip hop, but I genuinely think the Chronic does kickstart a lot of this. Right? I know you have like 2 Live Crew and all that shit.
Yeah.
It's summed up in one lyric. If you bitches talk shit, I'ma have to put the smack down. Dre literally put the smack down. Like, he literally was beating up women. And you think you're just putting that on. You can't just put that on to shit. Do you know what I mean?
I might have something to follow up on that.
Go on.
Rat-a-tat-tat, late at night with my gat, on the streets of LA, wondering where the pussy at. What are you doing, dog?
First of all, it's late.
Yeah. Why'd you have a gat?
That's just to make sure. But
to meet women.
Coercion. My word is coercion, mate. And like even the G Thing video, it's there. Watching the G Thing video on the way in, I love it when Snoop's in there. I love when Daz is in there. I love the party vibe. Like this is about partying. This whole album is that. And then there's a woman walking around the party, right? Really strange men. Really strange. Like off. Creepy men trying to go in like, hey girl, what you saying? You know, trying to, she's just like, she's fit. So obviously she's like, nah, I'm all right, mate. I'm okay. What did she get for her troubles? Doused in 2 40 ounces because she didn't like the men that were advancing on her, or she was stush, as we would say. I'm sorry, right? Like that's not the message you want. Like, and I know women love this shit. Women love the Chronic, Doggy Style, Snoop now. Look where he's come. He's doing cookery shows, motherfucker. Do you know what I mean? Like this is what I'm saying. Like if you talk about like they're unashamed and no one like you pull them up on it on these classic in these reviews you read, they do pull them up on it. But because the beats are so fucking good and because it is so brand new, it's like showering women in beer is like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's okay. So again, I would say that if you're talking about women on this album, not great. Word to fucking Lady of Rage though, because she brings it. I loved Lady of Rage back in the day. She fucking starts the Doggy Style album. She kills it on this album. Afro Puffs, that whole track. She should have done more, but she's just another victim of like Suge Knight and Death Row.
What's she up to now? That's what I know.
Lady of Rage, holler at us, man. We want to know where you at, man. Like seriously, she was so good. And just talk about women on this album. First of all, 2 seconds. I know this is very niche, but Dre's wife at the time, Michele, I think her name is, or Michele, don't remember her name. She's on this album, right? Have you ever heard her talk in real life?
No, God.
Honestly, YouTube her. This is an example of how incredible her voice is, not in a good way. Like, it's so high-pitched and squeaky. I was watching the Defiant Ones, Mrs. in the background, she's just doing what, she's chilling, and she piped up, she went, what the fuck is that? I went, that is Dr. Dre's wife. Like, she sounds unreal. So, yeah, if we're talking about women, I'm not trying to add on to the misogyny. I'm not being like that. But her voice, genuinely, if it was a man with that voice, I'd be like, what the fuck is that? So, do check that voice out.
Deep rather than high pitched.
That's pretty harsh. I mean, she didn't choose her voice, did she? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, T.I. is still married to his wife, and she sounds really squeaky.
Does she?
Yeah.
Is she another squeaky wife?
Yeah.
Maybe they're a thing. Squeaky wives. Maybe mine isn't. Maybe mine's really baritone, and that's what it is. It's like I need a squeaky wife in my life. But either way, I'm just like, holy shit, this ain't working. But right, let me circle back in, motherfuckers. I've got to circle back. I know this is a large section, but we're talking about a large fucking album. You know, we're talking about Let Me Ride, right? Digging into that, the fucking sampling. The fact it was supposed to be on RBX's album, I'm so glad that did not happen. Again, Suge and Dre being like, fuck that shit, this is too good. Imagine it being on RBX's album. Would we be talking about RBX having the one best tracks of all time? I don't think we would be. You know, the fact that he's bringing Parliament and the whole Oakland funk scene is in this album. So another thing this album does that I feel like Fugees and Biggie don't do is resonate with an older audience, whether you think that's a positive or not. For me, that's like, shit, you're bridging a gap. So all these funk heads from the 70s who loved Parliament, who loved all this kind of new era of Bootsy Collins and people like that, they may not be into hip-hop. But when you hear Dre and you hear the G thing sample and you hear the Let Me Ride sample, they're like, holy fuck, that's George Clinton. And again, it bridges that gap. And I've read a few of these things online where they're like, in LA and Oakland, you were like, holy shit, even old people listen to this because they're like, shit, man, that's a fucking hot sample. And the sample on that about the Sweet Chariot stop and Let Me Ride is actually a classic slave ritual. And I was like, shit, that's really interesting. The fact that not only did George Clinton use it, but then they used it on Let Me Ride. And you're like, again, it brings that undertone to the black experience in America and LA that no one except for NWA has talked about this time. But NWA have talked about it, and this is now making you immersed in it, which is like, shit, we're still living off the aftershock of slavery, and we're using now the slave rituals as a sample in a track that then goes global, and people everywhere, white people everywhere are listening to it, where you're like, shit, this is the ramifications of shit that you guys did, but now it's coming back, and now you're almost being entertained by it, which again is kind of sick, but it's kind of like, fuck, that's true. Actually, that's actually one of the things he went in. I don't know if he's thought about it that deeply, but if you were going in, you could go in that far with it. Again,
I would almost argue that the global fans, don't even think about it that deeply. They just think of it as hot beats.
True, they don't. But even if you don't think about it deeply, the thing is, it's still there. It's one of them weird moments in hip hop history. Like, shit, should that even be? That doesn't feel right. But if you're talking about like lyrics on the album, let me just bring some of my favourite lyrics on the album. I remember as a kid hearing, now everybody peeping out the window when they hear me beating up the street, is it Dre? Is it Dre? That's what they say every single motherfucking day. And I remember reading The Source magazine, they had a big interview on Dre, and their whole thing started with that, is it Dre? Is it Dre? That's what they say every single motherfucking day. And that's where Dre was operating right now. And I'm not sure if I can say the same for Ready to Die or The Score. When they dropped, were they operating at the level where literally what everyone wanted was that? Like, everybody wanted that. Maybe Biggie for lyrics, I could probably say that. Maybe Lauren, because she bought a whole
Biggie kind of did say exactly what you just said in a different way, because he used to read Word Up magazine. And that's probably would be the equivalent of the time, wouldn't it? So
That's true. That's true. Yeah, fair enough. So another thing on this album for me, right? Snoop Dogg. He's dropped Deep Cover. He's killed it on that. Then he's on this, and it's almost like his debut, where he's bringing this persona. And I read a brilliant bit on this, which was I think it was New York Times in 1993 nailed this, what Snoop did differently and how he twisted the whole gangster persona to what had already been before him. They said that Snoop's subtlety in his rhyming is everything about what's different. Ice-T's just shouting at people saying like, cop killer. He's making it blatant now that we should kill cops, right? Snoop is got the same kind of weird messaging, but what he's saying is because it's a 187 on an undercover cop. Back then, no one knew what 187 was. And Snoop says, I read it in some interviews afterwards, he's like saying, the thing I did is I brought stuff with a twist and I made it like an in-joke.
Well, the other thing is cops would know what it means.
And cops would know what it means.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's even more of a diss because only you motherfuckers know what I'm saying. So yeah, Little Ghetto Boy, it's another poignant song, again, about the slavery bullshit I was talking about, the LA 92 riots, the extracts they use of actual people on the ground, like going in about what happened to their community. It's amazing. If I have to die for this African here, I'm a dead motherfucker. I remember hearing that, and I remember watching Malcolm X about that same time, and I got goose pimples and shit. I was like, fuck, man, I'm in a little village in England. Nothing is related to this. But what you're bringing now is a stark reality about it. And Little Ghetto Boy is another perfectly produced track, and in fact it's the start of flute hip hop. It's got this banging flute in there, and I'm like, motherfucker, flute hip hop started with Chronic. Like, now Future's using it, everyone's using flute. You know my thoughts on flute hip hop, dog. Like, I like a bit of flute hip hop. I wish I'd played recorder just so I could do some flute hip hop. So the flute on Little Ghetto Boy, bringing it.
So in terms of rappers outside the 90s, who would you have on this record to make it work?
I would say that if I was bringing anyone, and it's such an obvious answer, but it has to be Kendrick Lamar. If he was on Stranded on Death Row, it'd have been an elite. It still is one, but not everyone talks about one of the greatest posse cuts, but I feel it is. Kendrick on there would make it one of them, where it would just transcend into one of the GOAT posse cuts. And even musically, I think if he'd have been on it, he'd have given so many more options than Corrupt or RBX, who are rhymers, but Kendrick's not just a rhymer. He has an ear for what the beat's going to be. Imagine him and Dre in the studio. He would bring in loads of different twists to shit. Could work, could not, but if I could hit any non-90s rapper, it'd be that.
Yeah, so what are you saying about Master Killer Corner on this? Who is it? You got a few options on this album, so who are you putting forward?
I'd say there's a lot.
Out?
I think there's a lot of options on this album, more than Ready to Die. I'll say, like, Ready to Die, it's harder to pick that Master Killer Corner because it's fucking Biggie.
Oh no, it's easy, but we'll get to that.
But I would say there's two things. Again, one of the most let down things, so Master Killer Corner being like either a verse I was really let down by, or something else that really let me down on this. I would say if we're talking about the disses to Eazy-E, I can't really sing along to Eazy-E, suck a big fat dick. Like, not really me nowadays, so I think that's a bit of a letdown, like just going in on a penguin looking motherfucker. I would also say that one of my biggest letdowns is, why is Deep Cover not on this album? You've released it as a single on a soundtrack, but if Suge being a gangster, put the motherfucker on this album. It's like just made for this.
You're forgetting the obvious one, right?
RBX, that's my obvious one. Oh no, what's your obvious one? Go
Never
on.
let me slip, because if I slip, then I'm slipping. What even is that?
What does that mean? Don't let me slip, because if I'm slipping, then I'm definitely slipping.
It's just a filler.
It's just a filler.
It's just a filler.
Sounds good though. It does fucking sound good. But yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, okay, that might be the winner actually.
Just that image of Dr. Dre, like, on ice, going, "Oh, I'm slipping. Oh, slip.
Don't let me slip."
They're slipping. Oh, it's just on his
I'm fucked.
Guys, I'm just slipping over here.
And DMX in the background eating some candy, like, sounds like a good hook. Sounds like a good hook. I'm going to use
DMX, I can't get up.
But my first one was going to be RBX on Lyrical Gangbang. Like, again, every beat on here is amazing, but Lyrical Gangbang, like, first of all, amazing like title, but he hardly rhymes on that track, and he just ends up chatting shit. And you're like the epitome of someone who's trying to sound a bit different to what everyone else has got, but just not having the skills to bring it. And you're like, oh, that's just a letdown. So yeah, seek that one out if you want some bad shit.
Well, some of the interludes as well. I guess Ready to Die is also guilty of that. Just unnecessary pornographic interludes.
True. I'm gonna
really awkward to listen to when you've got it in the car with your dad and you're 14 years old.
It is. Can we please bring that up for Ready to Die? Because we need to talk about that. But like, it's a lot bigger than this section.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, no, you're right. And just on one more thing, I know this is going on, but boys, I got to say, if there's aged the best on the Chronic, what I would say, even today, it bangs at house parties. You can put this shit on at house parties, and it is killing it. Ray, you remember the house parties we dropped at uni, right? We had like 3 incredible, legendary house parties. Everyone fucking talks about them at uni. The first one, we had some boys come in, 10 Room DJs, 10 Room, the classic club in Piccadilly Circus. Just came up, turned up to the house. Went, what the fuck, man? These DJs here, they're pretty elite. Come in, dropping bangers. They know what they're doing, yeah? Everyone's going for it. A lot of it is G-Funk.
Well, one of them asked for my car keys. He said, look, we need to get a proper system. And I was like, yeah, I just gave him my keys. I didn't even know the guy. I was like, all right. And he just drove off. He drove in my Citroen BX. And, with the suspension that went up and down, and it was broken, so it was just sitting on the floor, basically.
16
Drove
switches.
off, came back with some
16
speakers.
switches.
I remember there's one thing as well. I remember that party. They were like, because we put party lights everywhere, and the DJ that came in, he was like, nah, just cut all the fucking lights, cut it out, just be in darkness. And it was, it was.
He was so right. He was so right about
it. Are we still talking about the Chronic? Are we still talking about the Chronic?
No, what I'm saying is, but the thing is, the Chronic being the thing that, and I'm going to tie it up here, man. I'm going to wrap it up. The Chronic is the thing that fucking made it part. That was the party, man. Before the Chronic, what was the party at? You can't play Public Enemy and get your dick sucked. Like, I'm sorry, like that ain't going to happen, man. Like you're not like when you're a kid and you're like at a party. There's two things you're doing it for: your mates and women. I'm sorry, but it's true. You want to get with someone at that party, right? If
what kind of parties did you get to go to as a kid, getting your dick sucked? I was running around the Christmas tree when I was a young.
Okay, I'm gonna retract that. I'm gonna retract the fact that not as a 14-year-old I wasn't doing this, but at uni when you're like in your 20s and you're like you're trying to get with girls, you want to have a good time, you want to get fucked up. And then these boys are bringing stuff like the Chronic to the table. We have another house party about a year later, and the boys are fucking putting on Company Flow or some shit, or some raucous B-sides. And you're like, mate, I love you, but literally the dance floor's empty. Literally, everyone is not vibing to this. And that's what I'm saying, is Dre, if it's aged the best, it's still going to bang at house parties for another 40 years, I would have thought. Just because funk does, R&B soul does, and it brings that to the table with a fusion of hip-hop, and boom, that's what I'm saying. All right, boys, I'm going to do my final argument for the Chronic right now. I've got 30 seconds. The reason the Chronic should be in Crate 808 for me is the fact that, one, it absolutely changed the genre of hip-hop, and not just hip-hop, but music as well. Dr. Dre became the dream producer for not just artists in hip-hop, but going into the noughties, pop music generally. So it started the career of someone who was going to become legendary with so many career peaks. I'll say the Chronic now, even for the misogyny and rampant sexism, has music that you will still freestyle over. It's got the introduction of fuck off timer. And either way, it should be in Crate 808. Boom.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Killer Keller inside the place. You're rocking with the Crate 808 podcast, okay? Do your thing, you know what to do? Log on or jog on. Subscribe, rate, share, pass, leave comments, share with your friends. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell another friend to tell another friend, okay? This is the one, Killer Keller. Enjoy.
So what we like to do on Crate 808 is dig into the hip-hop rumours that we all like to hear these things, because we didn't know who these people were. There was no Instagram, there was no Twitter or Facebook back in the day. We didn't know what was really going on. So what we like to do is go into the old threads and find completely unsubstantiated hip-hop rumours and see which ones we can dig out. So I've got the roulette going here, guys. I want you to tell me when to stop, and I'll pick one out.
Stop.
Interesting. This isn't 90s, but Drake was a huge fan of clips and bought a microphone off eBay.
For fuck's sake. Fucking Drake. What a fucking time.
Drake was a huge fan of clips and bought a microphone off eBay signed by Pusha T, who he then had a massive beef with. Oh, that's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, he's always. I mean, there are so many memes out there about him portraying himself as a victim and stuff. He is a glutton for punishment.
He is.
He puts himself in that position.
But mate, imagine him with his Pusha T microphone and then afterwards getting fucking done in on added on. Oh, mate, bless him. Right, that's a good one. I enjoyed that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going. Ray, tell me when to stop.
Go. Stop. Either way.
That's interesting. I never knew this. Eminem is one of the top 20 Donkey Kong players in the world.
What?
Jesus Christ, is that real?
Fuck?
That can't be true.
People still play Donkey Kong?
Eminem clearly does. Incredible. How many Donkey Kong rhymes has he got? That's what we need to know, right? Am I right? Shit. Eminem, Jesus.
Yeah,
What is that? What?
I don't believe that.
I do. I want to. It's September 13th, 1994. A 21-year-old Biggie Smalls has recorded his debut album and the world simply wasn't ready. Ready to Die drops and boom, the impact resonates to this day. You let this tape rock until the tape popped. Mixing gangster wit with a level of lyricism only the GOATs could muster, Biggie combined with Puff Daddy to lay his killer bars and slick stories over polished production that not only banged in the streets but also in the clubs and the charts. Dumb rappers needed teaching, and there was only one lesson: don't fuck with B.I. Representing BK to the fullest, Biggie laid down a marker in the sand. This is where mainstream hip-hop was going to go, and it was all about the mafioso bling that would start here, but erupt only after his untimely death in 1997 and the emergence of Jay-Z and Puffy's Bad Boy stable. Ready to Die was the only project Biggie dropped whilst he was alive, and in many circles it's still seen as a stone-cold classic that lifted up high a new king of New York and a resident mainstay in a lot of top 5 GOAT conversations around the world. So, Ray, tell me, why should Ready to Die be in Crate 808?
It should be in Crate 808, but for all the reasons you've just said, and the thing about, I don't want to start on being disingenuous, because he's not in my top 5.
Whoa.
That would be controversial. Look, he's in the top 10, but he's not in my top 5.
Ray's done what he usually does here, is cut his own legs off underneath him before he starts an argument. He has a history of doing this, so I'm waiting to hear the rest of this.
Which film is that from?
You're selling this shit, but you don't believe in it.
Go on then, Ray.
I don't want to be disingenuous. I'm just
No, you're right. You're right.
Just be real, isn't it? So this album, shit, so many bangers. It's like, it's almost flawless. And again, so what you've already addressed, let me do what I always do and just get the negatives out first. So the Diana King track, why is that there? Why is she even here? It's not.
Is it the same?
That's awful. It's
Really?
It's an awful track.
What, the one that she still kind of milks that mercy, mercy, mercy? That's her career, right? Is that one line?
That's her. That's it. Is that all she ever says? Follow me. No,
Yeah, but the thing is,
you. Just go out the door and close it behind you.
The reason why she fits on this album is because she don't want no shy guy, and Biggie is notoriously not shy.
I'll be honest, mate. I think that track's really good. I really enjoy that track. The fact that it's got one of the killer lines.
It's a story track, isn't it?
Yes.
It's another one. So
loves a story.
Obviously, Biggie smashes it, and lyrically, it's a filler track. Basically, it's the filler track, because the rest of the album doesn't have any fillers.
So it's not entirely flawless then.
Well, this is the thing. He said it's almost flawless,
Almost,
right?
okay, fine.
I would say that this album has its moments of meh beats, of like, that sounds a bit tinny, that sounds a bit, but I'm going to keep you going, Ray, because I like what you're bringing about the weakness of this album. I wouldn't put this one there. I would say that Me and My Bitch, Friend of Mine, those tracks, get rid, not enjoying those. And then even Give Me the Loot is amazing, right? But just isolate the beat and it's kind of meh. It's kind of like, I don't know, I don't get this on the Chronic where there's a meh beat. You have meh rhymes and like you have like, I'm gonna say stop saying meh.
Yeah,
how about that?
so that's
Average.
That's exactly it though, isn't it? So the Chronic, that's what's great about the Chronic, is this ridiculous sick beats that don't need anyone rapping over them. You'd still listen to it. It's amazing. You alluded to that fact when you said about the older generation enjoying it because they recognize the samples and the tunes, and it's all legit and that's all great. But it's not about the marrying of the music with the lyrics. It's about the music, and yeah, Drake can have a ghostwriter and say some alright stuff over it, but you're feeling it because there's such an amazing beats in the Chronic. But I think that's part of the strength of Ready to Die, because what you just said, the beat on its own was a bit meh, but with Biggie on it, it's one thing together. Like
transformed.
For people listening, I'm doing the hand movements of like it meshing together, and it's like the lyrics is what makes it with the beat. So Give Me the Loot is absolutely, it's another ridiculous. I don't know if that's the originator of having a conversation with yourself, which DMX goes on to take to the next level. So basically, this is something that I bring up more than once.
Here we go.
If aliens came from...
I love how Ray was sitting there trying to reword it to make it sound a bit different.
If an alien came to the planet and never heard hip hop, and he said, "Look, give me 100 tracks that define what hip hop is." This album has. So, Give Me the Loot, Machine Gun Funk, Juicy, and Everyday. I'd say Everyday Struggle as well. Personally, I just love that. I love that tune. But it's got these tracks on it. I realise Exhibit has 5 tracks on this list.
I'm taking you to task, right? You've put 5 tracks, right, from At the Speed of Life, Exhibit's debut album, right, onto this playlist. Out of Ready to Die, you've missed Warning and Unbelievable and Juicy. Those 3.
No, I said. I said Juicy.
Did you say Juicy?
But
Okay.
I was reluctant about Juicy because I also would say Juicy's the track that's aged the worst. It sounds dated on the album at the time. It sounds like an 80s dance beat, which, don't get me wrong, it's still a legit track. You still listen to it. It's still.
I really hope these aliens don't land in Australia.
And again, it's another tune that you like because of the lyrics. It was all a dream. I used to. Everyone joins in on that, but the beat isn't great. I'm not putting it on my 100 tracks for an alien. Aliens are going to have to find that for themselves.
Has anyone got the number for the paramedics in Western Australia? Because literally Ray has cut off both the legs of himself. I'm sorry, you need to stem the flow.
Give me the Machine Gun Funk. They are the two strongest tracks on the album by a fucking country.
No,
Easily.
Unbelievable is one of the top 3 Biggie tracks of all time. How are you not putting Unbelievable in there? Juicy. Ray, keep going, bro. Keep going, because this is gold for me. Because Chronic is.
To think I was stressed about this last night.
Go on, Ray. No, but, okay, so everything's a personal preference.
Listen, don't get me wrong. Look, I am a Primo beat. That's Primo's number one for me.
I'll give you that.
I could listen to Primo.
That's Unbelievable though.
Forever, indefinitely. But
Unbelievable is a Primo beat.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with Unbelievable. It's not a spectacular one. It's not one that you're like, oh shit, I want to rewind that. It's not.
Sorry,
I'm looking at you on the webcam, and you're both looking really shocked right now.
We've got both our hands up.
Pras, I just wanted to check one more thing that he hasn't even brought up. Who shot you yet?
Yes.
Who shot you?
I was just going to say that.
Go on, Prazzy.
Well, my point was, yes, there are tracks like Who Shot You on there, incredible beats, really good rhyming structures, etc. But to quote one of our friends, we might just be listening to it differently. You might be listening to that album differently to how I am or how Cam is, except me and Cam are in the majority.
It's true. It's completely true. There's no right answer really to this one, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Ray, before you go on, can I just say this is basically echoing what I thought. As soon as you said you were going to bring Ready to Die, my first lyric in my head was spread love the Brooklyn way, which is exactly what Ray doesn't do. Ray doesn't spread any love anyway, right? Yet he's bringing this. I can't wait to hear what is. And already you're bringing a different prism of thought to look at this album through. Keep going, Ray. I want to hear more because this is some hot takes right here.
If anything, he spreads doubt the Perth way.
So,
spreading doubt the Perth way.
So the stuff that I love on this album, I'm not talking about it in the sense of listening to it over the last couple of weeks and then like I've come to a new perspective. I'm going on it like reminiscing, like going back to what when I did really listen to this way back when. And so that's why I'm not even including the remaster bonus tracks. Yeah, Hot Shoe Shot You're Sick. Yeah, but
you're not putting it in.
That's a remaster.
Okay.
That wasn't on the CD that I bought at the time.
Okay, that's good point. I mean? Good point.
I'm hanging my hat on Give Me the Loot and Machine Gun Funk. There's so much in Machine Gun Funk that this is what it tells you about, like why Biggie was such a good lyricist. He spits it's so simple. He doesn't use complicated words or complicated flow, but the flow is always changing. It's said seriously, but he's a joker as well, and he's having a laugh. That whole like.
Do you know what, Ray? Before you go into the lines on Machine Gun Funk, what I was going to say was his humour makes him palatable. The humour makes him palatable to a person who doesn't like hardcore hip hop. For me.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and because he's he comes across as he must have been definitely a joker.
Really quick interruption to give you an example of why Biggie is such a joker, and this is probably my favourite bar from Machine Gun Funk. All I want is bitches, big booty bitches. Used to sell crack circuits, stack my riches. Now I pack cats to stop all the snitches from staying in my business. What is this? That in itself does it for me.
The lines are amazing.
What is this?
What is this? I don't know, Biggie.
It's a volatile lifestyle. That's what it is.
Go on then, Ray. What were your lines from Machine Gun Funk?
Well, that's it. So there's so many lines in it. You could just take it out and that would be the hook. There's no filler in Biggie's rhyming. It's all just sticks and stones break bones, but the gather kill you quicker, especially when I'm drunk off the liquor. And and he just the way he changes the intonation and kind of sing it in a kind of joking way, then becomes serious again.
I know what you mean. Like he has
so
a little bit.
The story, the rap side, crack side, how I smoke funk, smack bitches on the backside. It's just all of it. It's semi. It's not quite sung, but it's
his kind pacing is incredible.
It's kind of and it's just but also how he does it. You couldn't take that rhyme in and put it on a different tune. He's rapping it to that tune.
Yes,
It's
so
like
true.
he's tailored it to that.
Yeah, no,
to that
that's
beat.
true.
My favorite line in Machine Gun Funk, the rocket launcher, Biggie stuncher. He has a motherfucking helicopter. This, you know, there's some lines in your life that you will if a tune comes on, you will always sing along to.
Right.
And it doesn't matter who you're talking to, where you are, what context, where you are, you will always sing along to. That's one of the lines that.
You're right, man.
Just grabs me.
Absolutely. No, I'm feeling all of this, right? I'm just sitting here, and as a little side thing I did for this Ready to Die album, because, like you said, Ray, there's so much to what Biggie brings, right? I was thinking, what's aged the best out of this album? It's clearly the lyrics, and it's clearly Biggie making a statement, bang, line in the sand, this is how you rhyme from now on if you want to make it big into the top 5 of people's GOAT conversations, right? So I started ranking his punchlines. Yeah. Right? So I did a little ranking of his punchlines. If I can break these down to you, Ray, for what I feel about this album. And number 1, I've got, fuck all that bickering beef. I can hear sweat trickling down your cheek.
Hot.
But the fact that he has such an acute sense of hearing, he's like a fucking X-Man, right? So 1, that's great, right? Other ones he's got, which are fucking brilliant. I make your skin chafe, rashes on the masses, bumps and bruises, blunts and Land Cruisers. Makes zero sense, but sounds amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, just the way he would say it, the way he says it is just...
Delivery.
Yeah.
I make your skin chafe, right? Again, top marks for bringing out an underrated skin injury, right? Because chafed nipples are one of the worst things in the world when you've had a jog. How does Biggie know about it? He's never jogged. He's never jogged in his life. Yet somehow he knows about chafed nipples, right? That was one thing I enjoyed.
Put a plaster on it, dog.
Put a plaster on it, dog. Exactly. Vaseline that nipple and you're all good. But I've been robbing motherfuckers from the slave ships with the same clip and the same 4.5. Well, you haven't.
Yeah.
You haven't been doing that, right? Because if there was a 4.5 on that slave ship, shit would have gone down a lot differently.
Yep.
And 2, why are you robbing the fucking slaves? They've got nothing. They've come with nothing. You're getting nothing. The guys you want to take, dog, are the guys upstairs. So one thing I would
Maybe it's an example of black on black crime.
It's a deep example of black on black crime. Exactly. At number 4, we've got, I smoke blunts and he sips on the Baileys. Right. So Baileys, possibly the least gangster drink of all time.
Disagree.
Yeah, it's nice though, isn't it? It is nice.
It is. It is nice. Strawberry Dracker is the only thing that's arguing that motherfucker,
It's
right?
not quite a Tia Maria, but...
It's not. Well, you're right. Tia Maria's up there as well. Yeah, it brought me back to a scene from New Jack City that Shay Serrano's podcast, big up Shay Serrano's podcast, Villains, was talking about Wesley Snipes in New Jack City, and as he's walking around in the nightclub, he's drinking champagne through a straw. Which, let's be honest, is not the strongest look. I've never seen it before.
Go straight to your head, though.
Does go straight to your head. So maybe that's what he's aiming for. Right. I got techniques dripping out my butt cheeks, sleep on my stomach so I don't fuck up my sheets. right. Now that's a major problem for anyone, right?
Yeah.
I sleep on my stomach, but it's not because I'm fucking up my sheets. Imagine the frustrated genius Biggie is walking around the house, dripping technique out of his butt cheeks. I was thinking that's just the frustration of, I have dropped a killer rhyme, Faith. Is amazing. Get the fuck off the sofa. You've just ruined our brand new sofa. Another one that I love from Suicidal Thoughts. It don't make sense going to heaven with the goodies. Dressed in white, I wear black Tims and black hoodies. First of all, fashion sense.
Yep.
Love me some black Tims and black hoodies. Does that mean I can't get into heaven? I would want to wear them if I'm going there. Also, he's great on the wardrobe tip because as a kid, I did wear boxers so my dick could breathe because I was, oh shit, yeah, you're right. You need the air, you need the circulation down there. And it works, it helps. So again, Biggie bringing that line, love that. Big up, it's a stick up, and I'm shooting motherfuckers if they hiccup. It's extreme overreaction on hiccups, I thought. So that's another one that I liked. Back in the day, our parents used to take care of us. Look at them now, they're even fucking scared of us. Like, that shit, right, resonates with me as an angry teenager. But now I'm a dad, I'm like, yeah, you should understand the plight of a parent. I fucking took care of you, dog. You know, help me out a little bit. Help me help you. Do you know what I mean? You so fine I suck your daddy's dick.
I could never.
Really?
No one's that fit.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's not about being hot. I just think imagine that scenario. So a beautiful girl, and you're like, oh wow, you're really hot, and then she sees you Sucking her dad's dick. You what? What are you talking about?
Might be a turn on in some circles.
I'm doing it for you, darling.
But it's just...
It might be a turn on in some circles. You don't know. You don't know. Either way, Biggie's bringing these questions, these life lessons, if you will, that we need to learn before we go forward. You know. And my last one was.
Yeah, I guess it's a thought experiment, isn't it? It's all, would you? Yeah, it's one of those challenges, isn't it?
It is. And my last one, but definitely not least, is. Man's come through, I'm taking high school rings too. Bitches get strangled for their earrings and bangles. When I rock her and drop her, I'm taking her to knockers. And if she's resistant, blacker, blacker, blacker. So go get your man, bitch. He can get robbed too. That is some gangster shit. First of all, you're calling earrings door knockers, which I love. I love that line. And then also, I'll rob every motherfucker right now. It's Biggie. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's one lyric that always reminds me of you, or... should I say Artie?
Oh my God, my wife Artie.
Which is...
Shall I break down the story for this?
Yes,
I know.
Yeah.
I had to just break down the story. We're doing a long road trip here. On our road trips, to keep ourselves awake, we used to just blaze the music really loud, bumping really loud, and we're just basically singing along to keep ourselves awake. And we're listening to Juicy, and it goes into birthdays was the worst days. Now we sip champagne, and I went with "'Cause we Thursday," and she came out with "'Cause it's Thursday." And immediately I was like, first of all, incredible mishearing of the lyric, but second of all, why on a Thursday? Is it just the arrogance of being like, fuck a Friday and Saturday, I'm sipping it on a Thursday?
But over the years, that quote has, for me, changed to every Thursday.
Thursday is it rhymes better. So maybe Artie has got something to say.
You're right.
Maybe your missus, she's missed her calling.
Yeah,
but then she's corrected Biggie's mistakes.
Yes.
But then you're rhyming day with day, which isn't very skillful.
Yes, that's true. And Ray would hate that. Well, we've got Wyclef coming later, so we can talk about rhyming not skillfully. So don't worry, mate. I feel like we're going to have to get the paramedics for Ray after the Juicy drama, and then get another one for Wyclef. Just
Juicy's fucking. It's not great. I don't know. Look, I'm stand by it. I stand by it.
Okay, right.
You know what the sad thing is? What the sad thing is? Ray's slating his own choice, but it's still probably going to win.
The album is that good.
It's frustrating.
The album is that good.
It's good. An album.
In the end of the day, Biggie for me, he's spitting like Ronaldinho plays football for me. It's effortless at times with a smile on his face. It's in his genes, and he just makes it look fucking fun. Do you know what I mean? Even though he's only around for a limited time, he still talks about it as a GOAT, and kind of like Ronaldinho is kind of the same. I also think it's such a cohesive project, this is. From the start of Birth in the intro to killing yourself at the end with suicidal thoughts. First of all, the intro's great. It travels through time and it sets the scene really well. So you have I think it's Curtis Mayfield, then you have another track in the middle there, which is from the 80s. So you have 70s, 80s, then you have Doggy Style in the 90s. And you're like, shit, he's really taking me on a journey to where he is. All his violence and all his outrageousness about robbing fucking pregnant women for their number one mom pendant and all this shit. I think the context is always there to the violence. So it's not senseless. It sounds senseless on the surface if you just listen to it. But if you actually dig into the whole album, why is he kicking women in the back? Because his mum, he talks about his mum, how much he hates his mum, him being scared of her. He's angry that the world has given her cancer. He talks about she didn't give shit to me and all this stuff. And then it's a cyclical process, which is probably true in the ghetto, of it just repeating itself, this kind of violence and abuse, and explains why people are criminal, and also goes into the mental health of things. Because obviously then he talks about suicidal thoughts, which is one of the best tracks on the album to me, which is I can't take this shit anymore. And women tend to love it because of the track Big Poppa's on there, One More Chance remix that isn't on the album, but that is a party banger. And you think it's so weird because his attitude towards women in this is fucked. Is absolutely fucked. And a bit, and you think and then you have these stories about him beating up women again, like Dre was doing, and it's like this insecurity that lies in the kind of twisted value system of young males. And let's be more specific, young American males, if you're showing you have to be macho and you have to have this competition with each other, and who are the fucking casualties in this kind of battle that you're having with other males? It's women.
It's the women, yeah.
It's the women in this. And I'm so glad we've got Lauryn Hill coming on after this, because I feel like the Fugees, if the one strongest thing they did was address that shit, the gender roles in hip-hop. And I feel like Biggie has all this shit that is sparked by what's already come before him, but he made it polished and again, Biggie working with Puffy and Puffy telling him you're doing it this way, it became a chart thing where it's just kind of slept on that you're talking about bitches and shit like this. But then again, that's one of my takes about this album, is the fact that there's deeper, resonant things in this, as well as just the humour and the partying and the storytelling, which is incredible. But Ray, the fact that you've put Juicy, right, aged the worst, before the skit of Biggie actually getting a blowjob, right?
Oh, sorry, we haven't been talking about skits yet.
Whoa.
Right.
Biggie getting a blowjob, that's timeless. That doesn't age the worst.
No one
don't get me
needs
wrong.
to hear that.
No, right.
I don't want to hear it.
But
But that's different to age the worst. The skits. Why is it? Why have I got to listen to this?
Yeah.
Why are people putting this on their
Like,
albums?
first of all,
why am I listening to someone? Why am I listening to you
First of
your
all-
dick sucked? Even the woman having sex with him saying you big Popeye chicken eating blah blah blah. That's probably a bit more of a
Fat,
joke.
nasty
But I still
motherfucker.
don't want to hear you have sex. I don't
Yeah.
want to listen to it. Why?
Like-
Why is it there?
Can we just dig into this a little bit, right? We talked about this a few times. Capital Punishment's happened. It's on the Chronic with the doctor fucking women in the...
It's chauvinism, that's all it is.
It's chauvinism, right?
Yeah.
So it's chauvinism. But the point is, for me, who the fuck finds it good to listen to? I've not heard someone gobble a dick like that on like stereo fucking great headphones. And I'm like, shit. First of all, the production values on this are great because I can hear every single thing. And two, he actually got his dick sucked. You know, he actually got his dick sucked.
What?
Yeah, Puffy came out a few years ago and was like,
He did it. He did.
I got on my knees. I had to do it, lads. I had to do it. No, but it's
Well,
true.
this, I mean, this. Yeah, he
don't-
did.
I
He
don't-
did otherwise. But yeah.
In a way.
I don't get
In a
it.
way, he did.
I don't get why. I don't get the reasoning behind it. It's chauvinism, true, but I don't understand why people think it's value for the listener. A bit like this pod.
Maybe, maybe it's. I mean, we're talking about it clearly because it's kind of struck a nerve with us even back then. But maybe it's also a sense of immaturity. You know, hip hop that isn't necessarily conducive to growth so much. So not as much as it is now. For example, the artists that are coming out now, I feel, are growing at a faster pace. You know, their consciousness and their transcendence is on a better trajectory than the '90s artists that we've grown up to
Do you know
listening
what?
to.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I wonder if it's the value system they're being brought up in, even though
Yeah.
it's still there. Look at 6ix9ine getting done.
Yeah, that's true.
XXX Stanchion, he was like, done for like domestic abuse and stuff like that.
Mm.
They're still clearly there.
Yeah.
But
getting better,
it's a gradual, very, very, very incremental, like glacial progression. Really, it should be a lot further down the line. Talking on Puffy though, we know we're talking about Puffy there. One of my arguments against this is Diddy on here and making it. I don't know if it's an argument against, but I'm just wondering as a what if. I think Ready to Die is a huge, if not the gateway to the bling era. We had the Chronic, gangster pop is now the thing. I would say that Biggie then kept the polishness going, and you hear that he wanted to do tracks with Jeru the Damager, with Primo. He wanted to do, like, imagine a premiere project just with Biggie. Already he killed Kicking the Door, he killed Unbelievable, he's killing all these tracks he's on Primo with. Puff Daddy is killing those boom bap ideas. Like, no, you're not doing that. He massaged Biggie's career into this thing where you were going to make it slick and we're going to make it ready for the charts. And it's that whole era of Bad Boy that made it like bling and shiny suits. So for me, I'm saying this album is amazing, but what if he hadn't done that? Would we have had more Biggie EPs and they be better? Like more culturally resonant than Ready to Die. Like, he was 21 when he wrote this.
Yeah.
Like, imagine when he'd been 24 and him doing shit with Primo, and you're like, fuck, like, that could have been amazing. Puffy wouldn't let that happen. No way, that's not the image. That's not the image you wanted. Other things that you bring into it, you talk about the East Coast West Coast beef, which was massive at this time, right? Whose decision is it to drop Who Shot Ya? Just don't drop that. Or don't make it a thing where you clearly know. Biggie could have been like, he could be right, absolutely right. I didn't write this about Pac getting shot in New York, but it's someone's decision. I'm guessing Puffy's like, no, fuck that, drop it, it'll fucking make waves. Again, you're inciting a feud which had tragic consequences. So I would say that Biggie has this stuff where, I would say that Puffy has this stuff where it's almost like Cutthroat, where he's almost like, no. We're doing it this way, and that's the way we're doing it.
There is a whole subculture school of thought that, argues that Diddy actually got Big killed because of this.
Yeah, I know. That's
know.
the thing. There's conspiracy theories are amazing
Yeah.
for it. I doubt it. I feel like they genuinely were friends. I don't think that personally if that happened. But like again, he's a thief because I know you don't like Juicy, but that's a Pete Rock beat.
Yeah.
That's a Pete Rock beat right there.
Yeah.
Apparently, Pete Rock was maybe not the beat, but at least the sample or the idea of it. He shared that with Puffy. Puffy did it, and
Yeah, the thing
and that
is,
was it.
Biggie wasn't killed over the beef though, was he? He was because he was a crack dealer as well, wasn't he?
Again,
It wasn't just talk. Like, cause I remember when years ago when I used to perform, there was one time I was backstage chatting to I think it was Nonfiction, and someone else brought up that conversation. They said like, because it was maybe a year after Biggie had been killed, and they looked at each other and then looked at us like we were stupid. They were like, "What are you talking about? He was a crack dealer. Everyone in New York knows that. And he just got killed over drugs. That was it." They looked at us like they were confused, like why we were asking. Like, of course, everyone knows that, you know.
But
obviously, outside, everyone's just like, "Oh, it's the Tupac beef. Oh, it's the."
That wasn't common knowledge at all.
No, why is he fucking slanging crack, man? You're a fucking pop star. You're huge. Literally and figuratively.
Well, he wasn't gonna.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? That's what got him the money to be able to do it. It's, you know, because it's similar with Jay-Z, I guess.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
true.
I mean,
but
it's
you
gonna
should have
be
stopped. But yeah.
Well, he didn't have a wicked jump shot, so.
Yeah, it's true. He didn't have. Maybe he did though. You don't know. But no, it's true. I mean, again, let's bring it back to the argument for Crate 808 here, right? It comes down to one thing for me because I can't pick apart Ready to Die that much because I feel like they're so good. It's about who came first and who did it better when it comes down to me. Because end of the day, that's what the argument is. It's the margins on this argument are so fine. And I think Chronic wins on both those fronts. Biggie shows you what it's like to be vulnerable and maybe the Chronic doesn't. But I know, again, it's like moulded for that pop audience. But I feel like Dre nails the pop audience thing harder. I don't know if his talent was as innate as Biggie's. Biggie's talent seems innate to me. Like, he just feels like he was born with that shit. And Dre was born...
Yeah, it's effortless. It's effortless.
Exactly.
What
and I feel
does,
like maybe Dre had a lot more hard work and refining to do what he did. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But, like, Dre still has that ear. Dre still has that natural talent. But I think for a producer, you're working with so many different... it's like a director of a film, right? So when P.T. Anderson does a film, it's not just a P.T. Anderson film. He's working with so many people trying to do this film. And I feel like Dre's doing the same as a producer. You're having to get the best out of so many different people. Whereas Biggie literally is getting told, this sounds good. And I don't know if he would have worked on his own as much. So again, I think for Crate 808, if you're talking about high points on albums, they're all kind of very level. So the fine margins for me in Crate 808 is Dre nailed it harder. He did it better with more skill on the production side of things. And then lyrically, it's up there as well. But, Ray.
Well, I think it's not, because Dre didn't write his rhymes.
True.
It's the ghostwriting thing. So the Biggie... The thing that changes the context for both of them is that B died. So Dre has had, obviously, has an entire career, and you can see what the Chronic started and grew, and what it grew into, and what it gave. You know, it was a start point for something amazing. And Ready to Die, I guess, was also a start point, but it got cut short. So we can only go on the basis of Ready to Die, and I think maybe some of what you're saying is clouded by the legacy of Dr. Dre, whereas this album is fuck. I had a really good point. I've just kind of lost it in the weeds somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Edit it in afterwards. Ray made a really good argument. Just trust us. It's really good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to use something that I was going to put into my final argument, actually. But I think it's relevant here because I feel Dre either created or perfected a genre, flooded the 90s with artists, you know, from a production perspective. You know, Biggie launched himself using Dre as almost a platform for that particular genre. And with Biggie dying, Dre then had an example of what his platform produced with a skillful MC to then take it to the next level with Eminem.
That's a great shout. No, you're right. I'm not saying Snoop isn't on that same level, because I feel like Snoop at his peak, at his apex, you could argue is up there with Biggie on his apex, because Snoop's rhyming is it's not the same like wordplay, but it's iconic. It's iconic rhymes from Snoop.
Also effortless.
So that's a great point. I would say that's a really good point. If we're talking more on this, Ray, I need to hear before we go, if we're talking about legacy, which you brought up, what non-90s rappers would you have on this project?
So that was a difficult one because it's Biggie, so it's like, yeah, I did say that he's not my top 5, but still there's not many people. I mean, today you don't want to keep leaning on, Kendrick and J. Cole for every possible example. We've already used them in previous podcasts, and let's not get into how low I rate Kendrick. But that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, so I went through some of the options, and I'd say maybe Pusha T. I could see, it's got that kind of it's got that kind of it's just got that kind of lazy kind of flow, kind of and just
I really like
I
that.
don't know. I could see them working together.
Do you know what? Let's just bring this back for Ready to Die itself. I think it only has one feature on there, Method Man.
Method
right?
Man, that's right. Yeah.
And you think the What is an amazing track, and you realise that Meth is going toe to toe for him on this. And if you think about it, in Create 808, I think Method's bringing like the best features that we've done on Hell on Earth. He's on there. He's on Cuban Links, I think.
All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me. Yeah. So I think Meth is kind of ruling the features of Create 808 kind of thing. Yeah, to count all that. What I would love to have heard, I think A$AP Rocky would have been great on this because I think his flow is kind of simple, not simple, but like I think it would work really well on the beats.
Please tell me you're thinking who I'm thinking.
I was thinking Lil Wayne.
Oh.
Genuinely. I think Lil Wayne on this would have killed it. I think Lil Wayne on this, in his noughties era Lil Wayne, mate, his humour and moronic punchlines would have worked. I also think, and this is when Ray's going to basically end up garrotting me, Drake.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Genuinely, all these artists are heavily influenced by Biggie, right? They don't always have that gangster image situation going on. The mix of street and pop hits, like on their own projects, I genuinely think they would work on Ready to Die. They may make it worse, but I think if you're looking at non-90s rappers, I reckon they would have brought something to it. What you got, Pras?
I don't think I'm alone in thinking that Drake should not be in this conversation ever. But so let me just voice that I'm not even willing to listen to him to check if I've heard enough. Like from day one.
Your sample. You've got your sample.
First name, greatest, last name, whatever the fuck he said. You're a dickhead. You're not. You're just awful. That first tune where he's like, oh, let's get on the track with Eminem.
Yeah, but
I just wish I could go back. And when someone said to Eminem, like, oh, there's some Canadian guy that wants you to be on his, on his baby track. I just want Eminem to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. And then maybe we wouldn't be stuck with this dog shit that we have today.
Okay. What you say, Prezi?
I was going to say Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah, okay.
Because he also
yes,
effortless voice is very unique. He's also got this lazy slurring, but also very intellectual, good rhyme structures.
Do you think it might be a bit too intellectual for Ready to Die? I'm not sure if you'd have. I'm thinking punchlines.
He can definitely dumb it down. Punchlines is what you want, and I think Lupe would bring that.
That's true, and also he's a good storyteller. So I reckon them two working together, telling a story. Yeah. Would have been quite amazing.
Like a good tete-a-tete.
Yeah. That's a great shout, actually. Lupe. Yeah, like Lupe. Cool, man. Right, so, Ray, Master Killer Corner. I was going to bring this up. It's kind of the same thing as Age the Worst for me, which is the blowjob. But what did you have, mate? What did you have?
Oh, Puffy.
Oh, so, go on.
I think I didn't like him in the videos. I don't like his. It just annoys me. That whole bit. We could bring my friends. You could bring your friends, so we could be friends. Shut up, Puffy. Just fuck. You're not invited.
So Ray, if you were in the Source Awards and you saw Suge Knight saying, "If you don't want your producers all up in your video, would you have joined Death Row instead?"
He would have. Of course he would have. Of course he would have. Be like,
yeah, exactly. Me and Suge, we go back.
Ray, the Rap Brexiteer, and Suge Knight. They're the two. Yeah.
What a combo.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the song that this person he referenced is famous for, but I think this line is really whack, which is, quick to leave you in a coffin for slick talking, you better act like Cece and keep on walking. Referencing Cece Peniston singing Finally.
Oh, yeah. I see. You didn't really enjoy that, let you down.
He's referencing the wrong track. Not keep on walking, it's Finally. That's the one you want to reference.
Oh, right, Biggie. Just do your homework, Christopher.
Exactly.
Just do your homework.
Chris.
I like that. It's good. I just want to put this out to the floor. It is a hardcore hip-hop album that I've talked about before. I feel like, where is hardcore hip-hop right now? Fugees are a really good signifier for the evolution of this, right? Because they embraced soul and R&B and all these did, but I mean with the actual singing and the hooks. And I feel like these artists that we have now, they don't really have their peers anymore in today's world, because everyone's peers have stopped doing work. So they're...
Or dead.
Or dead, exactly, yeah. So I was wondering, with this rampant violence, and the misogyny, how will it age in 10, 20 years? Like, how's it already aged now? And just as an example, I would say, like, if we look at rock, which I've talked about before, rock music and punk music coming out of that, and do people still listen to like Sex Pistols and Crass, like the hardcore punk music? Do people still listen to hardcore hip hop like this now? Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? 'Cause I'm not sure where it is right now.
So this is interesting because I love listening to hip hop, but I can't listen to hip hop at home because I've just got kids running around, swearing, my wife overhearing lyrics.
Yeah.
I just don't want to project that kind of stuff at home. So sometimes I look for tracks or albums that are censored that I can play at home.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I don't find it, and if I do, they don't really sound the same. So what I tend to do is either listen to it at the gym or when I play basketball or when I commute into work or something.
Yeah.
So in that regard, for myself, being someone who's got kids and got a different life altogether than constantly listening to hip hop, it's aged quite badly. It's not openly listenable music from that perspective.
I absolutely agree.
But there is something that, for example, when I have the house to myself and the music's on, it's a different life altogether. It's like, who is this man? Who is this?
It takes you back, doesn't it? It's like a time capsule. It does take you back.
That's right, yeah.
No, you're right. I completely agree with you. I've found myself like not listening to it around the house as much. This stuff is on my headphones. It's all on my headphones. And again, when I go to work in the office, I can't put on Ready to Die. No. I can't put it on because, again, working with a lot of millennials, working with younger, and just working in a public sphere, you're like, okay, I know that skit's coming up now soon. Yeah. Or like, I know that lyric's coming up soon.
It was embarrassing then with your dad in the car.
Exactly. And it still is embarrassing now. So hardcore hip hop, I'm just interested to know where it's going to be. But Ray, what do you reckon to it at the moment? Like, is it going to age badly? Do you still listen to a lot of it? Like, what are your thoughts?
So when you were using the phrase hardcore hip hop, you're talking about the Chronic, Ready to Die, NWA, all that.
NWA, I would even put Wu in there. Like I would even put 36 Chambers. Lesser extent in a way, because you'd have less of them awful skits, and misogyny still may be there, but it's not as explicit. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's of its time, isn't it? It's of its era. We can sit here now and recognize it and be like, oh shit, remember how that was? And I think even at the time when we were listening to it, we weren't calling women bitches and, taking it in terms, whatever. I don't know. Maybe we lived the sheltered life. I don't know. But it's just culturally a completely different to our life experience anyway, isn't it? Like, for example, as a 13-year-old buying Doggy Style, I didn't know anything about what was being spoken about. I didn't know the context. I didn't know, you don't get it, but you're still enjoying the music, and and I think partly at that age as well. Like, I remember first hearing Doggy Style, and when people the amount of times he said the word motherfucker, and I putting my headphones off and being like, shit, are they allowed to do this? Do people know this has been recorded? Are they allowed to swear on record? Because your experience of music at that age was Top of the Pops, and when it came on, it used to be broadcast on the radio at the same time. And how I got music, because I didn't go and buy cassettes. I just record it off Top of the Pops. So the first cassette that I had was Doggy Style, and for then to hear it, I didn't hear it elsewhere and think, oh, I'll buy that. A mate of mine told me about, he was doing an impression of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a motherfucking hustler. That's the only thing I knew about it, was that skit, and that's why I bought that album. So then pressing play and hearing him say motherfucker about 100 times, it felt dangerous. It felt like I shouldn't be allowed to listen to it. And I think that's part of why, at that age, you're like, yeah, that's more of a reason to listen to it.
Okay, I see what you mean. But maybe less taboo. Of a reason now, though. Less of a reason now.
Well, and the thing is, I guess why it is going to age well, to get back to the question, is that it will always age well for us because we have the context of listening to it then and growing up with it. People listening to it new now, I don't think they'll appreciate.
Yeah.
They won't get it. And that's why we are the luckiest people to have existed through that time, to be able to experience hip hop in that era and how it grew and developed. Yeah. Like, you can't come to it now and listen to it now and get it. You won't get it.
Yeah.
That's true. Appreciate it. 20-somethings today. Well, I don't know. I feel sorry for them.
If they do, however, get it, we should get him on the podcast.
Yes, exactly. Sure. Exactly. That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is the common argument in sort of Asian households in the 90s of kids listening to music like this was you only listen to it because it's got swearing in it.
That's absolutely what I heard. That's exactly what I heard as well.
Yeah.
It's the first thing when I heard played Doggy Style, my cousin was like, you only like this because it's swearing. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's a common thing. So, Ray, thank you for bringing that. I enjoyed that. That was a great argument. I'm going to ask for your 30-second final argument. But before we do that, can I just say it's not going to be better than, I think it was Stereo Williams. Shout out Stereo Williams, man. Absolutely. His takes on hip hop are some of the best takes on hip hop. So go search him out. His Twitter threads are incredible. We need to get him on this pod. So Stereo, I'll be shouting you out. One of his reviews of Ready to Die was amazing. In one line, he just said, every single song on Ready to Die sounds like a final word in an argument. And I was like, that's so true. It's
That's good.
It's all so like nailed, like bang, this is it. This
succinct.
is what it is. So, Ray, with that in mind, that amazing take, can we get your final timed argument starting now?
So this album is a journey by a master storyteller and just the funkiest rhymer there is. The album is so packed with content, it's simple to understand, and it's line after line that you could just pull out and use as a fucking chorus. It's littered all through the verses, all through the album. Whereas rhyming patterns are always on beat, smooth and effortless, and it's one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. There's no fluff. There's one filler, that Diana King track. But anyway, simple and plain to maintain. He adds a little funk to the brain. Put it in 808.
Boom, 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 boom. Good work, Ray. Good work. Well, that was Ready to Die. Next up, we have the Fugees. Let me just take a small chronic break here to let you know how you can get in touch with us here at Crate 808 and maybe even win a dope t-shirt with our sick podcast album artwork on it. We'd love it if you were to get onto iTunes and rate and review this podcast, but in a rap form. So we're calling it the Crate 808 Rap Review. We want you to drop some bars on there reviewing the show, and we'll pick out a winner who gets a free Crate 808 t-shirt. So get rap reviewing, and if you want to get in touch with us generally, hit us up with an email to crate808@gmail.com or Twitter @crate808, or peep our stream of 90s hip-hop content on our Instagram @crate_808. Alternatively, you can use hashtag crate808 to give us a shout. Now, back to the show. So, time for the usual resident hip-hop quotable quiz, where I go back into the Source magazine's hip-hop quotables, used to have one a month, and drop what they thought was the best bar of the month, or the best bars of the month, should I say. So, I'm going to start butchering this verse, and so stop me when you know it. If you can guess the artist, the year, and the album, you are going to get mad respect. I would say Ray has been killing it. He is 3 for 3, I think, so far in the series.
I am indeed.
Here we go. Tommy ain't my motherfucking boy. When you fake moves on an N you employ will emerge off your set. Now you know, goddamn, I'm living large. I'm living large N, how to flip a def jam and rough up the motherfucking house, cause I smother you cold chillin' motherfuckers. I still warn a brother. I'm ruthless, my clan don't have to act wild. That shit is jive, an old sleeping bag profile.
I got it.
Go on.
It's Redman.
It's easy.
It's not Redman. It's not Eazy-E.
EPMD.
It's not EPMD. Lads, come on, Tommy ain't my motherfucking boy. Think about that. The soft comedian rap shit ain't the rough witty. On the reel to reel, it wasn't from a tough city.
Keith Murray.
No. Ends be game thinking they're lyrical surgeons. They know the microphone's a virgin. Think about all these references. I'm dropping these references. Tommy Boy, right? Def Jam, Ruthless, Jive, Virgin. If you ain't boned an MC, you couldn't hurt a bee. That's like going to Venus driving a Mercury. The capital on this rugged slang is Wu-Tang. Witty, unpredictable talent and natural game. I death row an MC with mic cables. The epic is what I rush associated labels.
I'm trying to think who would do something like this. Cannabis? I don't know.
Method Man, Raekwon.
No,
because it's someone who would do loads of just references to loads of, and I can't think who would.
References to what? Ray, you're almost there. What are these references to?
References to labels and records and.
That's the one. Fucking hell, guys. Jesus. That's Jizza off Liquid Swords labels. Oh, jeez. Flopped. I'd have got it. From Tommy.
We don't have credibility.
I'd have got it from Tommy ain't my motherfucking boy. Sorry, guys, but.
Yeah. I haven't listened to Liquid Swords much. Clearly.
Okay, right. If anyone got that, please shout us out on Twitter or Instagram. Like, these guys are fools. I got that straight away. But either way, sorry for butchering a classic. Let's go.
Maybe it was in the delivery. We didn't quite get
Maybe
it.
it was the delivery. Maybe it was.
Tommy was a motherfucking boy.
Maybe it was. But fuck me, right? Let's go on. Let's get it on. February 13th, 1996 is an historic day in hip-hop history. Tupac would drop arguably his best album in All Eyes on Me, and Fugees would release their second LP, The Score, an album you could argue reached further across the globe than Tupac's effort. Made up of musician and leader Wyclef Jean, businessman and entrepreneur Pras, and star in the making Lauryn Hill, the Fugees blew up the scene and charts with an incredible eclectic mix of hip-hop, soul and reggae. Their panache would marsh your entourage, squash your squad and hide the bodies under the garage. With hits like Killing Me Softly, Ready or Not and Fuji La, the trio sold a whole new image of hip-hop to the public. It went on to ship 18 million worldwide. You could even find middle-class white folk in their Mitsubishis eating sushi while bumping the Fugees. But even more than the record sales and critical acclaim, this album introduced us to perhaps the greatest female hip-hop artist ever in Miss Lauryn Hill, and reminded us that rap was as diverse as ever in its sound, but still severely limited women on the microphone. So, Prazzy, tell me why you think The Score should be in Crate 808.
The album itself, I feel, is one of the greatest hip-hop albums purely from the impact it had on the landscape in terms of underground, a crossover between underground and commercial hip-hop. They're taking you on a spiritual journey, and it's quite poignant that All Eyes on Me was released on the same day as The Score, purely because The Score was a departure from gangster rap, which was quite successful in the 90s, based on Dr. Dre, based on The Chronic, and perhaps even Ready to Die, launching from that platform. The Score was pretty much an alternative album purely because it combined the underground hip-hop scene with pop music and soul and R&B. They fully embraced singing and rapping, therefore spanning multiple genres together, mostly due to Lauryn Hill's ability to effortlessly switch between singing and rapping and still sound credible on both.
So true.
Yeah, and the reason why I also like this album is because they still hold up a mirror to the police and to politics and calling out the corruptness that was going on at the time.
It's really woke. It's a woke album, I'll give you that.
That's right, yeah.
Can I just interject?
Yeah.
Please don't ever use the word woke again.
But it is woke, though.
Carry
That's the thing.
So you gave a short intro to the three people that were involved. Pras, Lauryn Hill and Wyclef. I feel Pras himself is the person who saw the bigger picture in all of this. Wyclef started off as a battle MC. That was his platform.
Yeah.
But he also had a very eclectic style, so he brought lots of things together. He had a good ear for music. Pras, however, had a good ear for production, so he knew what would sell on an album. So he pretty much made sure this album was as clean and as commercial as it can be, while still retaining the original flavour and feel of the era at the time. I think the album is very underrated in terms of storytelling. Wyclef particularly is a very good storyteller.
Oh, mate, I'm going to have to... I don't know about that. I love the storytelling.
I'm biting my tongue.
But go on.
The combination of Wyclef, who started off as a battle MC, as I said, was eclectic, cultured, because Lauryn Hill, who was also, although she was a skilled MC, she was also a bit of a soul jukebox. There wasn't a song that she couldn't sing, essentially. Yeah. And if I were to make a strong statement now, is that it feels like she could be an artist that could still exist in this day with that same style.
Definitely. But with Wyclef though, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure I think that album was the start, the beginning and the end for that group. For various reasons.
But she'd have used it, which she did, as a launching pad to go on to do amazing things. She could and should still be doing it now.
She should still be doing it. There was an interview that I saw that Pras did with Vlad TV.
I saw that one, yeah.
So many interesting tidbits there. And he said she would not create music unless she was inspired or she felt she had the creative impetus to do so.
Interesting.
So even if there's $1 involved or $1 million, she would only do it if she felt compelled to do it, which I think speaks to the artistry of Lauryn Hill altogether, whereas Pras would produce whatever he wants just to make money. All three characters are really interesting, but I felt Pras is the most interesting one. You know, he's notoriously very difficult to interview. So during that interview, I felt he wouldn't really he would just give one-word answers and then stare the interviewer in the face, which was absolutely hilarious.
Maybe it's because he's waiting for just another way to slip up, because he feels like he slips up a lot on this album. And it's like, don't slip up, Pras. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come to that in a second. The other thing I felt, he doesn't really give a shit about what everyone else is up to. He didn't even realise that Wyclef wrote a book and talked about his affair with Lauryn Hill during the album. And a really interesting part about Pras was he invested his money into stocks and bonds. So his net worth now is $20 million, whereas Lauryn Hill and Wyclef are only 8 and 10 million, respectively. Yeah.
No Dr. Dre stealth bomber.
That's right.
Figures, but
it's still respectable.
It's
still respectable.
That's interesting, because he is a businessman. And you hear all these stories about him not being in the booth and literally just turning up and saying, "Oh, what do you want me to do? Okay, I'll do it."
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost lackadaisical about like the way he's approached this whole project. Again, it might have worked because really the heavy lift is done by Lauryn on this whole album for me. Apart from musically, clearly Wyclef has nailed it with a Salam Remy and stuff like that. But go on, what else did you have?
But in terms of worst, rappers who are bad, he's clearly up there with some of the bad rappers. That took me into a rabbit hole of who are bad rappers or known to be bad rappers.
Right.
And I found 3 that I feel we could all unanimously perhaps agree.
Let's go.
Silk the Shocker.
Oh, mate, I had his albums as well. I bought his albums.
Yeah.
He's bad, but I don't know if he's memorably bad. Like, I don't know if he's memorably bad. But I don't know if he's actually...
That's how he raps. He thinks.
I don't know if he's stand out bad, because I can't remember any bad things he's done, really. Maybe they've just been erased from my mind. But go on. Silk's up there for sure, definitely.
Tony Yayo.
Tony Yayo, yeah, he wasn't great. I'll give you that. He was not great. Hurricane G has to be the next one here.
Bizarre.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my God. Bizarre. You've given me flashbacks now to such a bad time in hip-hop when Bizarre was given a record.
Tony Yayo... G Unit, right?
Yeah.
I think it was
right,
G Unit.
It's it's so forgettable.
Yeah, no, it's true. See, some of them are forgettable but if you talk about just bad, God, yeah, there's a few in there. I think Wyclef might be in mine, mate. I genuinely do. Like, he's consciously trying to bring stuff.
Yeah.
But good Lord,
the first album. So for me, arguably the best Fugees tracks were Nappy Head and Vocab.
Oh.
And Wyclef.
Yeah, Nappy Heads.
Brought it.
Yeah, he did.
He
did bring it, yeah.
That album also reminded me quite a bit of Fushnikin's first album.
Yes.
In terms of, if I think of Fugees, I think they were the freshest band,
and they were a
around.
band,
and they were a band exactly. So Wyclef brings that makes that argument that they didn't want to be considered a group or a crew. Yeah. They wanted to be considered a band like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and
so this is the thing. So when you're talking about the argument for them being in Crate 808, I feel like the positives on it is the fact that they're trying something new and they're evolving pretty much what the Native Tongues had done, which is like De La Soul and Tribe and Jungle Brothers, and you're bringing like almost like art rap to the table, which is like a musicianship to it all. And I remember, wasn't it? Is it John Forte has that interview? It's really good. Like John Forte being one of the Fugees clique who was in the Booger basement, which is the Booger basement is like the basement they all basically
they recorded the whole album there.
Yeah, they recorded the whole album there. And he was like, I turned up to see the Fugees for the first time, and on the stage there's like a bass, a drum set, and a guitar. And he was, I'm at the wrong place. I'm looking for a hip hop band. And the guy was like, nah, you need to check these fuckers out. This is the hip hop band. And he's like, oh shit, okay. And you see that kind of thing hadn't really been done, especially on this level of like global takeover, which is essentially what the Fugees did. And you can say, yes, it's because they really used catchy hooks or soul samples that basically could easily be number one in a middle class wives like, now this is hip hop, volume 2 mixtape. Like if you're looking at one of them, it's true, because Killing Me Softly, you could argue isn't really a hip hop track, but it's on this album, and it's the same thing with Miseducation and Lauryn Hill.
Using a hip hop beat.
Exactly, it's the same thing. Like people could argue Miseducation isn't a hip hop album, but inherently in its roots it is, which again I think is a beautiful thing for the culture, because it makes it so. It gives it another dimension. And I feel like the diversity this brings is great.
Yeah.
So it avoids that generic sound. I would say it's great. I also would say one more thing is that with their rhyming and what they talk about and the vulnerability they're bringing, so it's not always... They talk about gangsters and revolvers and shit like that, but they humanise hip-hop for me. which is like, oh, you're talking to me on my level about relationships, about braggadocious rap, but with this kind of amazing twist on it, which is like singing midway through a verse, just going, ha ha ha, ha. Yeah, the Lauryn Hill kind of, you shouldn't diss refugees, and that whole thing where, oh my God, you've made this kind of, not even immature, but it's just fucking cool. Like, you've made this on a human level, I can get with this. And first of all, the stereotypes are just broken here.
Yeah.
Reggae, for one thing.
Yeah.
I remember fake patois being a big thing. Well, no, these are Haitian Sicilians, motherfucker. They're
They
going
speak
for
Creole,
it.
yeah.
That this is what they speak. Yeah, they speak this shit, and it's the ingenuity is there because of that. So I remember them saying like Pras, when they first like got together about like as a band, didn't he bring like Guns N' Roses and Metallica to the table?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And you're like, shit, like, okay, so I know where you're coming from here. And I'm not saying they make heavy metal in their music, but you can see their influence is let's try different things and just go with it.
You could almost argue that Pras, I don't know, the first album was a complete belly flop. It didn't, it almost ruined them.
Yeah, but it only sold like 200 copies or something, didn't
Exactly, yeah. But then you could almost argue that Pras then sort of perhaps took the lead and thought, okay, let's get inspired by everything else that's happening in music right now. 90s is an incredible decade of music.
Yeah.
And let's bring something of our own to the table.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I think that's why the score was.
Yeah. Because you're right, Metallica were massive.
Yeah.
Nirvana were massive. All these people, they'd still hark back to the soul eras of is it Donny Hathaway, one of them
Yes,
verses?
that's right,
I
yeah.
don't know if she does something on that. And then you've got like all these, like obviously Bob Marley and stuff like that. But if you're talking about one thing, my biggest point on this, the gender roles being subverted completely because Lauryn Hill carries this album. Like her lyrics and punchlines are timeless. Some of my favourite bars to this day come from Lauryn on this album. Whereas at times, I'm just going to say it, Wyclef is nonsensical. Wyclef is, like, at least Pras is bad, but you can understand him. Wyclef, you're like, what the fuck? So, like, if you check out Rap Critic's breakdown on YouTube, Rap Critic being a guy who talks about his worst and best lyrics, the way he takes down Ready or Not is incredible, because you realise, shit, like, for all the lyrical dexterity and personality and humour and burns from Lauryn, you had this kind of rare voice, this rare female battle MC voice, combined with this kind of dragging her down ineptness in like bars. It's almost like they should have just said, we'll be the background and we'll feature, but it's your project.
Yeah.
But then you wouldn't have the iconic album cover. And let's be honest, all these three have iconic album covers. Ready to Die, The Chronic, and this are three of the best that are in hip hop. Ray, what do you think?
Oh, no, totally. Just, I think Lauryn Hill, I just again go over what you just said, is that, yeah, she carries it. There's this all through it. She's dropping knowledge and rhyming incredibly, and and flowing as well,
effortlessly.
And
too.
the others are just like, Wyclef just looks just woefully bad. I just kind of like imagine them being in the studio and then like bringing out his notes, being like, oh yeah, I've written a verse for it, blah, blah, blah. And then he drops it, and I just imagine the look on her face, looking at him, being like,
it's a good job.
Is that what you've got?
It's a good job she loved him. It's a good job. Like, love is a motherfucker. Like, it's a good job she loved him, because she would not have let him get on otherwise.
So this leads me to one of the 5 facts that I've kind of written down here. The first one being that Lauryn Hill, before recording Ready or Not, she called Pras and said, look, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do this, make sure certain people aren't there, and after this, I'm going to leave the band. So she came in, she sang the hook to Ready or Not, cried her eyes out, and left.
Shit, man, that's
Yeah.
deep. That's deep.
Shit.
Yeah, because he'd broken up with her, right? Is this Wyclef ever broken up with her? You hear all these different things.
I've not really looked into the whole thing. But
Apparently, he'd broken up with her, or another breakup of many had
Something
happened. Or
like
something.
No, I think what it was what I said. So basically, she heard the verses that he'd written, and she just started crying. It's just like,
Hold on.
Clef, you're just shit. I'm sorry.
Right, I know you got some points here, Prazzy. Please hold them, because if we're doing this, can we please bring Master Killer Corner early?
Okay,
because,
yeah.
No. I want your points, but I'm saying my Master Killer Corner for this point, right, is that Wyclef 80% of this time on this is just bad. But Mr. When you hear the track Mr., right, that's taking the fucking biscuit, man. It's so achingly earnest, right? Acoustic guitar, uses all these different variations of the word fuck. Like, he uses motherfucker, fuck, all the time through it, right? And it's just coming across as so trying too hard, mate. Like, at least when you do No Woman, No Cry, it's a lukewarm version of Bob Marley's classic, right? So, okay, you wanted to do it. Okay, I'll give you that, whatever. I know you're trying to be conscious and woke, as Ray hates, but why do you have to rhyme? Like, just tell other people what you want to be doing. And I think on Mr. Mister, and it goes like this. I can't sleep at night. You can't search me without probable cause or without proper ammunition they call reasonable suspicion. Listen, I bring friction to your whole jurisdiction. That's not bad, okay? You planted seeds in my seat when I wasn't looking. Now you ask me for license registration. Where the fuck do I work? What the fuck is my occupation? Well, I'm an MC. I'm down with the food. None of this rhymes. None of this rhymes. Like, you're just talking now. Mother Mary caught a flashback, now Rodney, now the cops got lolly. What? Like,
yeah,
I don't understand.
No, he goes on for just entire verses of just nonsense and no rhymes.
I can see what he's trying to do, though, because there are certain verses in Lab Cabin California, in Fushniken's first and second album, where they're trying to rhyme words that don't necessarily rhyme, but they could carry it off because they've got a certain style to do it.
Okay.
I think that's what he was trying to do.
Oh, yeah, and failing.
And failing.
I remember listening to Mr. Mister for the first time when I was growing up in Germany for the first time. So my mate Jerry actually showed me the album, listened to it, and then he said, listen to Mr. Mister. I listened to it thinking, this sounds like nothing I've ever heard before. I ignored how awful it was. I ignored it purely because there were so many swear words in there. He was so earnest. He was so passionate about what he was saying, however awfully he did it.
Yeah.
Now, in the research for this podcast, listening back to it, I wish he just fucking scrapped the song. I can't believe he left it on there. Even in the digital remix, I don't know if there's a version.
Yeah, I think he's still on there. It's still on there.
Can't believe
What's it doing on there? It's true. I think it's that, again, I need to get this out. I need to talk about drugs. I need to talk about, and again, the subject matter and substance is there, but for me, it's just not implemented correctly.
It's almost narcissism.
It's almost narcissism. Exactly. It's your ego taking over, dog. Let Lauren do it. Let Lauren do it, and it'll be done well.
Let her sing it.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Exactly. What were your other points?
My other point was, in terms of for me, the worst verse is arguably one of the most recognizable ones, which is "Ready or Not, Refugees Taking Over, Buffalo Soldier, Dreadlock Rasta." Why put these words together in one sentence?
It's true.
It's not a good delivery.
Yeah. Okay.
You can tell he's counting himself into the verse. It just doesn't sound as good as you think it does.
Yeah. They do this a few times though, but it's the same thing when they do like too many MCs, not enough mics. That's probably because you've been ripping mics on the telly. Just think about it. Like, it's kind of self-inflicted. Stop ripping all the mics, and there'll be enough mics. Again, just maths.
I quite like that. How he comes in on that. Too many MCs, not enough mics.
I love it.
But the next line. Exit your show like I exit the turnpike. What? Like, just carefully and look
Where are you going?
Right. I don't know. What do you mean, like you exit the turnpike? It's not. I don't know.
True.
Pras obviously isn't the strongest rapper on there. It's just
probably getting some
blanks,
petrol.
I suppose. But.
Yeah, probably get some petrol. Yeah. Go on then. What else? Yeah.
What else do we have?
Because the thing for me, again, but Pras had these little points. Like, I've been listening to these albums over and over and over again, and I started noticing that the ad libs on this are quite good. On the score, I do enjoy the ad libs. The ad lib game on all these three are quite strong, but I think doesn't Pras do bing in the middle of shit? Like, it's like bing. He keeps doing that halfway through, and you're like, why are you doing that? So I went on Genius just to look at it, and it's like, oh, he does this to accentuate when there's a lyric with meaning. So I looked, and almost all of them are on Lauren's lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why then. Oh, okay, then I get it. Yeah. Okay. So go on.
Okay. Posse Cuts, Cowboys.
Strong.
I think is a very strong record.
Strong. Rah Digger's great on that.
Very, very similar bands or very similar groups. The usual 2x2 back and forth.
Yeah.
It was actually recorded as a battle rap.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So they were in the studio. They were all in each other's corners. So Lauren was in one corner, Rah Digger was in another corner. And their ammunition was, or their objective was to just rip into each other. And just be basically as skillful as possible. And Rah Digger, when I first heard the track, I didn't even realise there was another female on the track.
Oh, you thought it was Lauren?
Yeah.
Yeah, shit, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Again, they're kind of...
very similar styles.
They're bringing this kind of the female artistry to stuff. And talking to female artists, like, I just have to bring this, like, I rated a few of, I know we did this earlier with Biggie, but I had to do it with Lauren because she's got so many punchlines. So some of my favourite, I was ranking her lyrics. So while you're imitating Al Capone, I'll be Nina Simone and defecating on your microphone.
Deep.
To me, to this day, right, that hits hard. But the image of Nina Simone defecating generally is a powerful one, right?
I want to forget it.
Yeah, but if you're defecating on a microphone, it's emblazoned in your brain. Like, okay, I now know this. It's emblazoned in your brain more than someone trying to be Al Capone. So
Did she actually do that, or was it
Lauren's saying it, mate. So, I
figurative?
think it's figurative. But and one of the fucking killer lines, and it's so knowing, right, is Lauren on, I think it's on Zealots, where she ends her whole verse with, and even after all my logic and theory, I had a motherfucker, so you ignorant ends hear me. She knows that people are out there who don't get the density of her rhymes, but she's just throwing that in there and being like, making you wake up. I love that. I love the fucking style on this. We in saloons, we drink boons and battle goons till high noon. Bust rap tunes on flat spoons, take no shorts like poom pooms. Fucking hell. Like, you're entering the lyrical arena and already... If I was to hear that as a battle MC, which these guys are, or even if I'm hearing that as a feature, I'm like, oh, it's ended then. Like, I don't know if Eminem can stand up to that. Like, that's how high I put it up there.
Wow.
Another one she put
Don't
up
be
there.
silly. Don't be silly.
Mate, sorry.
You know who would sound really good on that track too?
Who?
Redman.
Yes. Oh, Redman should have been on this album.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, what a surprise. What a surprise. He got him in there somewhere.
Pras is known for
I'll
his
bring him
love
up again.
Pras is known for his love of Redman. I'm sure you're bringing to another Crate 808. But the other ones I really liked are, plus you use that loop over and over, claiming that you got a new style, your attempts are futile, all child, and you're like, Mate, like
come on.
people using endless loops and loops in their tracks. You're like, shit, you've just basically decimated a lot of Primo's early work. You're like, shit, you're actually, and it makes you step up and wonder, like, these guys, again, Dre as well, they're bringing like a sonic landscape where you're like, shit, like, it's not just a loop. You are breaking it down and bringing other things in there, which then quickly, let's just bring that sample to Ready or Die, to Ready or Not. That sample's killer, by the way. The Enya sample. It's from a fucking... I think Wyclef said he was... what was it? He was up late one night and he heard... there's a Stephen King film, Sleepwalkers.
That's right, yeah.
On TV, and he heard that... And you're like, fuck, yeah, you're using that all day long.
This is how innocent the Fugees were at the time, because they didn't think this album would go so big. They used the sample, didn't clear it, and lied about not clearing it, and had to pay $3 million to Enya.
So they're liars as well.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
And then I think Enya, they thought, oh, she's just some artist in Ireland.
No, she's huge.
She's huge.
Yeah.
Mate.
Irish kind of folk vocalizing.
Yeah.
Like, again, what a weird thing to use on a hip hop album, but still great. Salam Remi's Fuji Laugh fucking beat.
That's right,
oh my god, like that was made for Fat Joe, and Fat Joe was like, I don't know if that's going to work. It fucking works, Fat Joe, you fucking idiot.
Well,
like,
Fuji La to me is the essence of the score. Without Fuji La, that album.
That's the big track.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the track that and Ready or Not would also feature on the 100 tracks that he played to an alien. By the way, but I know no one cares. But
no, but it's true. They're the two. I mean, they're up there.
Not just musically, but also visually. The music videos for Fuji La, for example. That, like when I think of Fugees, I think of them running around the town.
I was in. I'm not gonna lie. I was in love with Lauren. Like, she was my perfect... Well, she had everything. I was just in love with her. Yeah. She had rhymes. She fucking looked... She didn't try. Like, there was no makeup. Well, if there was makeup, it was subtle. It was like, she was just her.
She was herself, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's just bring this on to the female MC, because I feel like if we're talking about Lauren, right, if we're ever going to do anything to correct the bad shit of 90s hip-hop, which was, again, 90% of it is about gender roles and approaches towards femininity and stuff like that, I have to bring up Lauren. Like, she's the one to this day that I would say nailed it all. She could be herself. She could be like so open about things. Like, I think it's on Manifest Outro where she starts talking about like maybe killing herself and like the lines about like how this guy broke her heart. So the way I look at it is like Lauryn Hill, she followed in. So let's not, like, she wasn't the first. Yeah. Like, the way she's so braggadocious and rough around the edges at times, not just the way she's bringing these killer lines, she follows in the footsteps of these battle MCs, right? Before Little Kim and Foxy Brown, there was like there was Roxanne Shante, there was Moni Love, there was MC Light, Queen Latifah, all these people who brought different versions of that battle rapping to the fore. And then when she came out, Little Kim and Foxy Brown were out, and they'd highly sexualized that whole thing. So it was like she made it that you didn't have to be highly sexualized and you could still be fucking sexy, if you know what I mean. Whereas all power to you. If you want to be Little Kim and have the dirtiest fucking lyrics that you want out there, fair play. But for me, Lauryn Hill was the last MC to really blow up. And in the noughties, there was no one. Like in the noughties, there was no female MC to bring that evolution until Nicki Minaj, maybe. Now we have Rhapsody, Little Sims, and obviously Cardi B, No Name, all that. But
I think even the female artists that you mentioned, like Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, they still assist the male patriarchy in hip hop quite a lot because of the way they appear and the way they portray themselves. Whereas Lauren didn't. Lauren let the skill and her range speak for itself rather than how she looked.
Yeah, totally. So and so Lauren as well. Like, I don't believe you should have a separate, top 5 female, top 5. Just have top 5.
Yeah.
And Lauren, she is in that conversation. Top 10, maybe. She's in the conversation at least.
I would agree.
I mean, not for me,
limited
but
amount,
she is in the conversation. But.
Limited amount of work, but you're right. She's in the conversation. When you say like the male patriarchy and stuff like that, I feel like the way Cardi B and these Nicki Minaj and the newer, like there is a diversity now. Like No Name doesn't do that. Like Little Sims doesn't do that. So you have this diversity. Rhapsody never does that. And you have this diversity, but I feel like the people who were saying, like, wasn't it Cardi B who was on Twitter recently, and some Fox News anchor had a go at her saying, like, oh, this is the look you're trying to give to girls because she's got her ass out in like the videos. But then it's also this twisted prism to it, which is like, well, no, I want to do that, and I don't give a shit what you think about how I'm proud of my sexuality and I'm putting it out there. And you could say someone like Andre 3000, for whatever his sexuality is looked on so differently in the male domain of hip hop because he wears these fucking weird things, and like Key and Peele do them amazing sketches of him like drinking mint tea from a vase or some shit. Yeah. Like you think, okay, right. So I get like there's this kind of appreciation for different versions of that. So I feel like Lauren, you're so right. She nailed the authenticity for me because she was just herself. Other thing just goes on to like when they're talking about like them being a hip hop group or band or whatever, and like just put it out there. I think Wyclef is an anti-flow rapper. If anything, he's like does everything not to be hip hop. If you know what I mean. It's almost like they didn't want to be known as rappers. It feels like we're larger than the hip hop scene, right? Which then made me start thinking about something I listened to a while back, and it was a new rapper, or not called a rapper, singer, Post Malone, right?
Yeah.
And him appropriating, you could call it appropriation of hip hop, with everything he's done, and then saying afterwards, do you know what? I don't want to be known as a rapper. I'm a country singer now. And you feel like, oh shit, this started with the Fugees, man. Like Little Peep and 6ix9ine and all these people that are out now, they've grown up with rap as the norm for them for so long. They listen to it, but they don't even see themselves as part of it. They see themselves outside of rap. And I feel like Fugees, again, if you want to be like, disingenuous about it and be like, Wyclef can't rap, so clearly they're not in the rap like sphere. I feel like they did start a lot of that, and then led on to people like Young Thug and people like that, like were branching out. Like Young Thug did that track Wyclef Jean, didn't he? And it's like clearly he's an idol to a lot of these new rappers.
Influenced.
So I think when you talk about legacy, I think the Fugees' legacy is clearly there. I think the Dr. Dre's legacy is clearly there. I think Biggie's legacy is clearly there. Like you have all these people who are influenced from every one of these albums. So I think we've brought that. I'm just gonna have to bring my argument, Ray. I'm gonna listen to your argument against the score as well in a minute. But if we talk about why it shouldn't be in Crate 808, the other two are projects that have less like downfalls. I feel like this album has quite a few like dips, whereas the other two have a few, but not really. I think like if we're talking about like the slim margins again, if I'm going to put it in any way, I'll feel like if this won the Crate 808 debate today, right, it's like Green Book winning Best Picture at the Oscars, right? Like in that Oscar category for Best Picture, you had, and I'm going off on one here. I'm having a little old man rant about this. There's a genuine masterpiece on the table like Roma, which is The Chronic, right? That didn't win, and a classic contender for one of the best films of like maybe even the decade of all time, The Favourite, which I feel is fucking amazing, and that's Ready to Die. But why would we give the score, the one that's basically directed by a Farrelly brother, the option to be in? Sorry, but it kind of is that. It's just not going to happen. It's strong work, but it's not bringing the same level of heat as these other two. And I just feel like that's why I wouldn't put it in. I loved the album. I remember when I first heard it. It was iconic. It lasted. Killing Me Softly lasted to this day. It's fucking everyone knows that track. There's tracks that people know, but so do the other two albums. If you're putting on any level, what level is this album on? And that's what I was doing in my head. And I was like, shit, if it's not on the level of The Chronic and Ready to Die, what level is it on? And I just put it out to you both. I don't know. I would say like maybe on the level of Tikal. I would even say maybe Slim Shady LP. I would say The Score maybe is on that level, but I would not put it on this level.
Why do you think in 20 years after the release of The Score, so many reviewers, even artists, come out and say this is one of the most iconic albums that we've had?
Because it was so different at the time.
Because they're wrong. They're idiots. They're wrong.
I think, like, what if you talk about age?
The thing with it is, Wyclef is so bad on this album that I think the great 808 podcast should rename the Master Killer Corner the fucking Wyclef Corner, because he's so fucking shit.
Well, we've had
it's annoying. The thing is, like, obviously, I think, again, how I spoke about Ready to Die was I wanted to put it in context of like, and remember how I experienced it with that CD without the bonus tracks when I was first listening to it. Same with the Score. I remember buying it and I remember loving it, and I remember, there were tracks you skip and tracks you skip too. Not literally skip down the street like you're skipping. I mean, skip the track.
Anyway, I love this.
So yeah. Basically, yeah, like I said before, like Fugees and Ready or Not. I mean, Ready or Not. It was massive. It's bigger than Juicy, wasn't it? It's bigger than. Is it anything on the Chronic that got anywhere near?
Maybe G-Thing.
Maybe G-Thing.
G-Thing, because G-Thing was like was number one, wasn't it? I see what you mean, right? Completely. If we're looking at like aged the worst, then on this album, personally for me, I don't think there's a lot of stuff that's aged the. If you talk about aged the worst, I think the catchy samples, the hooks, the singing on it, pretty much guarantee it will still work now. I don't know, what have you got?
So in terms of what has aged the worst, or what I would change to make it work today, I think you can just tell that it was recorded in someone's basement. So I would clean up the production to bring it up to par.
Okay.
While
right.
the kind of the noise and the sort of the raspy bits of the production was quite great at the time when you listened to it, but now production has taken such a different direction altogether.
I like how it's seamless though. The fact that it's seamless, it is like an actual score. That's a nice touch. Non-90s rappers, what you got for non-90s rappers?
I had to really, really think about this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Immortal Technique.
Oh.
Because I thought his flow and pace, delivery, content would really fit the album really well.
That's a great shout.
Yeah.
His content especially
his content, that's right.
He could have done Peruvian like drug runners shit.
That's right, yeah.
With this stuff. He would have fucking nailed that. Yeah. No, that's true. He gets dark, but yeah, he could have done that, definitely. Yeah. I had a newer one, because I feel like this album's quite religious at times, and it has this kind of embedded in like faith and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would say Chance the Rapper.
Okay.
I think Chance the Rapper his flow would work really nicely on this. I think musically he would bring something to it as well. His voice would work so well, and I think it would just give the whole score another dimension. So I feel like Chance would be mine.
Okay.
What you got, Ray?
So yeah, who I had, I guess not really rapper outside the 90s, but I'd be curious to hear how Cannabis would sound. Cannabis and Lauryn Hill. I know obviously there's a relationship with
okay, yeah, I can see Cannabis on it. I can see Cannabis. Is it again the Wyclef thing?
Lauryn Hill drops knowledge, and then just them together would have been. It wouldn't have been. It would. We've spoken about the gangster rap and the hardcoreness of Ready to Die and the Chronic. But,
No, do you know another thing would be good is the fact that he had Wyclef on there as well. So instead of Wyclef rhyming, just put Cannabis on. That's what we should do. Is you stay behind the boards.
It could have been an option. But to be honest, saying that, it's just I put Lupe as well. That'd be another. I know we've already brought him up for the previous one, but he would work on this.
No, that's true. Yeah. No, I like it.
Yeah. So I already mentioned one of the facts about Lauryn crying during her production. A few others that kind of made me chuckle here and there. The album intro features a poet called Pras Baraka, who later became the mayor of Newark, New Jersey.
Oh wow, that's amazing!
In 2014,
and they're repping New Jersey. That's brilliant. That's right. I never knew that. That's wicked.
Subliminal Disses, Break One. I couldn't quite figure out where and when.
Oh, okay.
And also Tupac in Cowboys. Rappers want to be actors, something.
See, I don't get that.
Jesse James characters.
Because Lauryn Hill's an actor.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because they in that track especially, they point out things that they're guilty of themselves.
Yeah, doesn't Lauryn say something about R&B singers?
Yes,
or you R&B
exactly.
singers, and you're like, you are an R&B singer.
Yeah.
Though. I don't get.
Yeah, or maybe the way I think of it is they wanted to go into this recording thinking of themselves as battle MCs and forget everything else. So in that regard, maybe it is a bit disingenuous.
I bet Wyclif's ratio of wins to losses on the battle thing is not good.
Also, the first time the world has heard of Akon was on a Fugees remix.
Yes, it's true. Akon was in the mix, wasn't he? He was in the Booger Basement. I saw this.
That's right.
Which is cool because you're kind of the Akon of the mates group.
Because I'm lonely, is
it? All right, man. So you got 30 seconds, Prazzy, to bring your final argument.
So the reason why The Score should be in Crate 808 is because it's a genre-defying album. It introduces Lauryn Hill to the hip-hop scene, well and truly one of the best, or probably the best female MC. And it's clearly also the most different and most eclectic album that you have of the 90s.
Boom. Okay, there we go. Ready or not, the refugees taking over. Are they really, though? We'll find out. So hold tight. We're going to come back. So thinking about the debate today that we've had. To be fair, you've all bought flavour. I'm going to give you mad props. 3 amazing albums. I've enjoyed every argument that you two guys have bought. But I'm sorry, I don't think anyone beat The Chronic. I think The Chronic is going into Crate 808. I hate doing it to the other 2 albums, but I feel like the takedown just wasn't there, guys. There was not much you could pick at with The Chronic, and there it is.
Well,
boom.
That's it. Ghostwriters live to get paid another day for not ever performing and just.
Hey, Daz has got something in Crate 808. He wasn't really going to get much more. So, okay, there we go. Crate 808 done for another episode. Thank you guys for coming in. As ever, thank you for listening to this. Rate, review, share, and subscribe on all good podcast platforms. Hit us up on Instagram at crate_808 or Twitter at crate808, or even email us at crate808@gmail.com with any master killer moments, any hip hop rumors, or any quotables you want us to use. Just throw them out there, or even just catch us on the hashtag crate808 on Twitter. And if you want us to do any album reviews or have any suggestions for albums we could argue for this debate, please do give us a shout. Also, just want to give a shout out to Swatches and Boomboxes, the Notorious POD, Shotgun Orcs, all these great podcasts out there doing good shit. Check them all out. Shout out to Foreign Beggars, who've been hitting us up. Shout out to Andy Cohen. We had him on the series, Hip Hop Connection editor. To Dan Lish, who is an incredible illustrator. Check him out on Instagram and Twitter. And just shout out yourselves, guys. Shout out yourselves for getting involved with 808. So we will put a Spotify playlist out there on all the tracks we've been talking about. And definitely we will have one out there for the master killer moments on the series so far. So one last thing I need to talk about, really, is I saw on Twitter the other day, one of my mates put up on there, what if your favourite band was fronted with your favourite rapper? So I'm going to just put this out to the guests that I have on. What would your favourite band with your favourite rapper sound like? Prazzy, what you got?
I don't really have a favourite band, but I have bands that I like, or albums of. So
Okay.
My favourite rapper is Redman. I would pair Redman with Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think he would sound incredible on Californication.
Yes.
Tracks like Around the World or Purple Stain.
The funk is real.
Yeah, this is a bit more out there, but I think it could also work. It's Redman with Pearl Jam on the 10 album.
Do you not think that Pearl Jam are a bit too depressing? But I suppose Redman lifts it.
Once, Even Flow.
Yeah.
Those are tracks that you could feature on.
Yeah.
Jeremy, obviously my favourite track.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm enjoying it.
Not Redman, though. Drake.
Oh, God. Yeah, he's got the feels.
Yeah,
he's got the feels for
sure,
Jeremy,
yeah.
definitely.
It would make it even
more heartfelt.
That's right.
True.
Yeah.
Ray, what you got?
Yeah, it's a weird one because Rakim ain't going to work with Bon Jovi. It's not a good image.
That is a car crash, isn't it? That is a car crash.
Maybe Rakim wants to work on the docks.
I did,
maybe he is now.
I
We
did
don't know
just
what he's
read
doing.
that quotable. So maybe Jizza on Jizza with Bon Jovi, because what was that line? Tommy
ain't my motherfucking boy.
Anyway,
Tommy ain't on.
Tommy used to live on the docks.
Okay, I get it.
Union been on strike.
Tommy in the motherfucking docks.
Yeah, Tommy on the
Down on
motherfucking.
his luck,
Okay.
it's
Either way,
so
Bon Jovi. Either way, Bon Jovi staying. You can change the rapper, but Jovi
Just
staying.
change all the rappers in the world. Just keep Bon Jovi.
Cool, man. Wicked. And another thing I just wanted to ask before we do leave, by the way, guys. What is the last great thing you heard?
In my research to find a non-90s rapper or MC that I will put on the score, I started delving into 6ix9ine a bit more. And
Are you saying?
No. Let me think about
You wanted to say it.
Oh, what
but
I
you're
wanted
like,
to say.
maybe
Well,
not.
what I wanted to say was I found myself strangely
Enjoying it.
Enjoying it.
Yeah, guilty pleasure shit.
But the second I stopped playing it, it was gone.
It was gone.
You know,
Fair enough.
I went back to hating him.
Fair enough. Okay, interesting. I would not have paired you two. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have done it.
me neither. I mean, me and him would be a very terrible combination.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
God, yeah. My thing I've been listening recently, there's a few things actually. Sarface has been good, but I think Twami's Emergency Rap series, if you've not heard that, is really good. I think it's got like 3 volumes out. There's a track on there called Blue Iverson, which is smooth as fuck. It's a great banger. Check their mixtapes out and their albums, they're really good. Ray, did you have one?
Yes, so I've been listening to something that the motivation for it will soon become evident. But I've been rediscovering the 18th letter, Rakim, and it's just if that was to come up on a future podcast, wink, wink, whatever comes up against it is getting
not
destroyed, basically. Because
Is this how he gets on? He just sort of mentions a great album at the end of a podcast and you bring him back on the next time?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Wicked, nice one. Well, good work, boys. Thank you for coming on, Prazzy.
Thanks for having me.
All good. Thank you, Ray, for coming on, mate.
see you later.